questions it. Someone just links his ratings over the course of the last 3 years, and you realize just how consistent a star can be. Not quite as consistent for him here, though, as it does seem that new addition of Stewie 2K has perhaps taken some of the shine off of Fallen, off of coldzera, Jacob.
I mean, you would like to think so, right? But in fact, Stewie 2K has not been doing too well either. So it's all like a situation where right now we often talk about how much did Taco actually do for coldzera, and was he a big factor in order to enable him to become so consistent. But it feels like Stewie 2K has not been able to hit his individual level, and now ever since coldzera took over calling, it hasn't really been too great for him either. So it's all like a shaky area for them right now, where they're trying to figure out how do we enable all our star players on the team.
The problem is, once again, this is another learning experience for everybody. Us here at the analyst desk, the players, they're learning every single game that they play with each other, right? Because they're adapting. We have the whole fact that they are speaking English now, then they're a Portuguese, well, they're Brazilian who speak Portuguese, right? So that language barrier is something that you have to consider. And bringing Stewie in, he doesn't just get slotted in Taco's positions. They have to change the way that the whole team plays. And you can see that most evidently on the CT sides with how a lot of positions across most of the maps have been changed.
So Chad, you often kind of get quite reluctantly caught saying the word time. When a new team makes a roster change, it's often a question of how long do they need to make a change. I'm sure, Jacob, you're all too familiar with that as well. When a change is made, we're like, how long until we see what they're capable of? I can't help but feel that this SK roster is probably the biggest example of a roster I am willing to give time, because that's such a huge change to make. You can't, I mean, bearing in mind, we praised SK for their communication, their trading, the way in which they moved around the map, almost like a fluid movement. There was almost no communication needed. Now they're changing the language, they've changed the player, Jacob. I'm willing to give that time.
Yeah, and you should be willing to give it time. We often see Fallen and coldzera being some of the most outspoken guys in each their respective language about how a team should work, the inner workings of a team, and how you should be able to enable each other as players. We saw that with Taco and coldzera having a great synergy between each other. The problem for me with this SK lineup is that normally when you change a player and when you do a move like this that is a little bit out of the ordinary, you often have a honeymoon period. We just haven't seen that from SK, and that gives you like sort of like a little bit doubt whatever that's going to be, you know, a bad sign for the future, or just them, you know, starting out slow and then coming up on that upward trajectory as Chad is talking about. I do feel though that SK should be able to have some sort of honeymoon period with the players they have on the team, and you know, there's a lot of other stuff going on between SK as well behind the scenes, so it could be one of those situations where we just need to give them time.
This might be one of those honeymoons, Alex, you know, where you're waiting for the finances to come in. You need to wait for it to roll in before you can book it. You haven't booked it straight after the wedding. You've got to get back to business, and then eventually, you know, when there's a bit of a lull, when they get a chance to practice, we might see it all click, right? Because you're learning right now on the big stage in front of the crowd. That's another positive thing. Going into this matchup, the experience on that SK side is huge.
And there was one game in particular where I think I got to see a glimpse of the old SK, and that was actually versus Optic Gaming. Now, I mean, we were all watching that game. It was actually broadcast on the B stream, so for those of you that were watching at home, that's probably where you would have found it. But it was so close to being SK eliminated from the Pro League Finals, Chad. It was unbelievably close. It was, what was it, actually
12-6 down.
12-6 on Inferno. Jacob, did you catch any of the action?
I saw the game from behind the scenes. I was actually just looking at Optic's players, you know, as they were playing.
Sure.
You can see the screen. You can just see the reaction in them. They felt they lost that one. They felt they had it under control, and they felt they should be the winning team in that scenario. And you could say so as well. Being up 12-6 on Inferno is a quite significant lead. Problem for me is with that one is Optic is also a new team. You know? They're not a team you should be expecting to put up such a great fight against SK Gaming. So we've just seen so many shaky results and so many shakinesses involving this team that I'm not quite there yet where I believe in them.
The weird thing is, Alex, we need to see less Counter-Strike to see the best Counter-Strike. I know that sounds like a very weird thing to say, but if there's a bit of time off where everybody can practice and get to the same point without having to fly around the world every day of the week, we might get to somewhere where we can actually judge it based off its merit. But as these tournaments keep to roll onto each other, we're getting so many new faces shown by the different rosters coming together. And that's something which I guess, you know, FaZe have been dealing with as well.
Yeah, well, that's going to be my follow-up question was, while we're talking about the faces, what about the face of FaZe? I mean, what have we seen from them so far? Not only consistency in regards to playoffs, I think that this is now, it does feel like a guarantee when they walk into a offline event, at least in 2018, every single time. It's playoffs, if not more. Jacob, FaZe Clan, we saw them, of course, picking up the trophy in Sydney. Now, that felt like a bit of a statement versus Astralis in their current form. Do you think FaZe with Exist can still continue to be world beaters, or is this just a kind of a bit of a fluke?
They will always be there. They will always be one of the teams you have to fear if you go up against them in a quarterfinal or in a semifinal, and that's where they will be every single time, because as we talked about before, they have Nico, they have Rain, they have some of the best players in the world, and they also have an in-game leader who knows how to enable them in form of Carrigan. So it's never a team you can count out, regardless of them playing with Exist or Olofmeister for that matter. It is a team, though, that I will say is trending upwards as well. I didn't necessarily believe they'll be this good with Exist, and we don't know either how long he'll be with them. This could be for a month or two more. This could be for a long period. We don't know exactly what's going on.
Sure.
So it also plays into mind when you think about how do they practice. Do they go all in on having Exist as a permanent solution for this? Do they know how long Olofmeister is with them? Are they slacking a little bit on the practice as well? There's so many questions that only themselves can answer, and that's maybe what's playing into their most, I wouldn't say bad performance, but a little bit shaky performance.
Yeah, it was actually the Season 6 finals where we last saw these two teams battle. It was a grand final, a best-of-5 final, and we did get to see SK come out on top. In fact, if you look at the head-to-head, SK, of course, likely were playing against Olofmeister's team, but still prevailing.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, right? You have to just wind the clock back 6 months. This was the biggest matchup you could possibly want at the time. SK and FaZe, the clear 1 and 2 in the world. We didn't even really know who was the best because they didn't face each other that much. But the one thing that was a constant issue was the fact that Carrigan had never beaten Fallen, right, in a series like this. And it continued that way. SK able to pick up a really big win, finish the year on a high, and show that they were the better team. The really weird thing is, coming in 2018, the wheels kind of fell off that SK train. Things fallen apart. They had a couple of bad results in a row, and then the roster changes came in, right? This matchup is no longer hyped for the same reason.
Sure.
Now it is, which one of these two teams can stay around potentially under Astralis? Now, the FaZe guys are going to hate me saying that because they just took it to them in a best-of-5 and shocked the world, shocked me who predicted a 3-0 against them. But you just have to look at the way that Counter-Strike's being played at the moment. If Astralis is able to change the meta, change the, I guess, the tack that most teams have to go with, everyone else is going to have to make a massive adjustment.
And I'll tell you what will make the biggest change in this best-of-3 is going to be the map discussion. We have to start getting through those vetoes. I'm just looking at through the last kind of maps they played in those Season 6 finals. It was Train, Mirage, Overpass, Inferno. Is it safe to assume the pools have changed since we last saw those guys battle it out?
We're not going to see any nukes still. SK definitely don't want to go anywhere near that. Stay away with that with a 10-foot barge pole. And the fact that they played fantastically on Dust 2, maybe something that FaZe factors in. Maybe they want to get rid of that. Or even with it just as a threat, that means it can make it through to the second phase and maybe be banned out there. Okay, well, let's have a look at those bans. Jacob, what's your kind of thought process when we come into these?
I mean, as Chad is saying, we're not going to see Nuke and we're not going to see Inferno either, which is quite surprisingly. But that has been SK's best map, and that's been their go-to pick whenever they played the best of threes throughout this tournament. So it makes sense from their standard projective. I will say, though, that it leaves in cash for FaZe, and that should be their obvious pick in this one. That said, though, SK is decent on cash too, so it could give us a great matchup. But if I were FaZe, I would go with that one, or if not, Mirage.
Yeah. E-League Major 2018, the last time these two met, was on cash. Whether or not it does show up, we'll have a look. Let's have a little reveal of those first two maps. And it does look like SK are taking it to Overpass and FaZe another Mirage for us to have a go at.
You know what's hilarious about these two maps? At one point in time, both of these teams were the best in the world at both of these maps, right? So there was a period where SK was the best Overpass team. There was a period where SK was the best Mirage team. There's a period where, you know, this is the thing. These guys are both, they're really well practiced on these maps. I think the thing that had fallen off, the little details maybe, is for SK, for one, is the fact that what was really strong for them on these was late round retakes, you know, going in, really running that bomb timer down and still having success. Yeah. And not seeing as much of that anymore.
Things have changed. There's certainly a new king in town on Overpass with their quad stacked HE nades. I don't need to mention any more. But bye-bye Train, bye-bye Dust 2. So it was floated by SK. That's interesting. Should they continue in this tournament, just so everyone else is, they're kind of sending a bit of a message there, Jacob, saying, you know, we're down to play. We'll have that game.
They sort of like have to in a scenario right now where they're not at their best. You know, they have to take a few risks and a few gambles in these veto processes. Anyhow, it ends up on cash, and as I said before, it's an even ground for both of them. That said, though, FaZe have been great on cash, and it's been one of the only maps where I feel they haven't really left us down ever since Olofmeister left the team or is on a break for now. I feel like Assist is a great cash player as well, and it doesn't really seem to change for them that much. So I would say FaZe should be fairly confident going into this one.
Someone else that's going to be confident going into this one is going to be casters. They're confident they're going to have a fantastic game of Counter-Strike to cast. They are standing by. We're just going to get their initial thoughts. FaZe SK. These guys were huge names. Jason, Elfish Guy. This was huge names. And now we're sitting here wondering which type of FaZe, which type of SK we're going to see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a couple of interesting days, and obviously throughout IEM Sydney as well, seeing both of these two teams play, particularly SK getting knocked out so early on. Very, very surprising, but now they're kind of coming back a little bit with a vengeance.
Yeah, I mean, the whole story around them is that when they get to a stage or they get onto these playoff matches, it's a completely different team. And for me as well, it's also like a mental match for FaZe to finally get over that beast that is SK, being able to beat them in a series. And I just think it's so cool as well. We're back in Dallas. This is where so much Counter-Strike history has been written. We got to keep writing it year after year. We return, and this is such an epic match to have on the stage here.
Yeah, definitely. We were looking at FaZe yesterday as well, having a look at some of those individual players. Obviously, Rain was really stepping up there, so I think that again is going to be another key proponent of their success coming up against SK here.
I mean, Rain is going to be so important. Like the players they have on the team, obviously we don't even need to name them. They're so incredible. But Rain is like a whole different playstyle that allows them to be a little bit more mobile, a little bit more adaptive across the map. And he is a huge key. But then you have the luxury of, if he's not having a great game, the Guardians, the Nikos. Like once you get deep into this roster, it gets so scary. But SK's been beating these super team lineups for years now. And while they look weak at the moment, this is where they shine.
Yeah, definitely a lot of questions to be answered in this matchup, but I don't want to delay things any longer. Let's go back over to our analysts and I guess play this match out.
Thanks very much, boys. Yes, looking forward to hearing you raising the decibels, raising the roof of the Verizon Theater here in Dallas, Texas. For now, I want to start kind of guiding, honing this analysis in on expectations and how we think this one's going to be going. Chad, just starting with you. Now you know the maps. You've also seen the way in which FaZe have performed. I feel like it's a bit of a loaded question. I'm kind of guiding you towards FaZe. Am I misguided in assuming you're going that way?
Look, I think the form that they've been able to carry through since the IEM Sydney win has been a positive sign. Normally they come into the group stages and it's a little bit shaky. Sure, the loss to Na'Vi, not ideal. They would have loved to be straight in the semis. But in terms of the individuals and the way that they're trending, it looks better than that of SK. But once again, SK have already learned a lot in this tournament, right? They've learned a lot. They've gone through some trials and tribulations with some very tight matchups that they could have potentially lost. And they're a team that grows and learns very quickly. Now, you are correct. I am probably going to be leaning towards the FaZe camp, and that's just based off the fact that they do have more stars. There's more depth there, and I think there's more consistency in their playstyle than that of SK's at the moment.
I'm seeing nods, Jacob. Is that because he kind of stolen your script in that regard?
I wouldn't say stolen it, but someone similar, to what I would say. I do feel the big thing is the in-game leading role, where you have coldzera on SK right now, as Chad was saying. They're learning all the time, and they don't really know how to play. Fallen is even in-game leading on some of the maps as well. It's sort of not an ideal scenario for them, whereas on FaZe they have a clear leader. They have Kerrigan, they have their coach behind them as well. Robin doing a lot of great stuff for them. So it's more like a streamlined team, if you can say so. And I think that's going to play in a best of 3 on a stage like this. It's all about being confident in your team and being confident in what you do. And the more you know about yourself, the more you know about the way the other guys are playing, the better you're going to do.
Interesting.
You know what's insane about this? None of the guys from SK are even in the top 20 rated in the tournament so far.
Is that why you were frantically scrolling down
I was
your
just quickly
phone?
counting. I was like, where's coldzera? Why is he not in the top 10? And then, he's down here in the 20-plus range. I was like, well, that's not great, is it?
Oh my goodness.
Unless I overlooked Fur's name, because he's been having, pretty good performance. He had that classic aggression that we saw coming out, but that's something that FaZe definitely know how to deal with, right?
But this is what's so scary for me is the Stewie 2K. I mean, he's had a couple of fantastic rounds. We saw that incredible clutch versus Optic Gaming, actually keeping his team in it for at least another round. We've seen glimmers of it, but I'm almost certain I haven't seen the Stewie 2K that was doing things on Cloud9.
Stewie 2K haven't had a tournament with SK yet where he was in plus KDA. It's simply minus every single time he's playing, which is not Stewie 2K level. I feel like when you watch him play, he's a guy that needs trust from a teammate and needs to feel comfortable in the system he's playing in. I think that's why he was working so well in Cloud9.
Yeah.
That's why he was working so well. He was the in-game leader as well. Whereas right now, we talked about him being able to speak English to his camera. It's not a great scenario for him to be in.
We were making jokes, weren't we? There was an example of it where there was an AWP on Banana. He pushed up with his team. We just saw him in game. He kind of walked towards the AWP, looked at it, and then kind of like shook his mouse and walked away. And it was kind of this idea of him how would I ask them? They're all talking. They're doing this whole. They're like having a Portuguese argument over there. Guys, I'm just going to pick up the. I'll take the AWP. Is that okay?
To legitimately build on this point, I spoke to Stu the other day about kind of the way that he fits into this team as opposed to Cloud9. Now, Cloud9 used to take all the gaps that they could because they had players to make or who liked making plays, right? Yeah. Like Tarek, Rush, and Stewie are 3 names who, once they see a gap, they're always going to take it. Stu was saying in this roster, they play more the percentages. So he's allowed to take the gaps if he sees them, but he knows that they're really good at the late round. So instead of going for that play that may or may not win the round, right? This is a thing that it's like a 50-50, whereas SK in the late rounds, they win 70% of the time, right? So he dials it back and he plays the late round, waits for the call and trusts in the teammates as opposed to him being the one who needs to win them rounds.
At that point, it doesn't feel natural for him to play Counter-Strike. And it's a big no if you're a player like Stu 2K. A player that I would say had the skill level to be one of the best players in the world. I feel like he showed that a few times, up there at least.
Sure.
But if you take that away from him, if you take the natural feeling of him playing Counter-Strike, you can attest to that as a player as well. You gotta feel the game. You gotta feel where these gaps are. Not always does they make sense where they are, but if you don't go for them when you feel there is one, because you're scared of your teammates or because you believe too much in your teammates, that can be a big disadvantage too.
I do have a big question. Sorry, Chad, I don't cut you off. But the big question is, in your opinions, do you think that that's something you can change?
Of course.
How you feel comfortable. Can you adapt and overcome what makes you feel comfortable in the serve?
Well, that's where I was going to go with this. I think a
fantastic.
perfect player to look at is Magix. When he first jumped onto the scene, when he was first playing and putting up big numbers alongside Config, it was based off just the same basic moves that he was getting away with day in, day out, and no one was able to stop him. Once people watched the demos, once people realized how to counter him, he really dropped off. He dropped off a cliff. He had to go through a bit of adversity. Now he's on Astralis. He's had to learn a lot in that point in time, and now he's a player on Astralis who's not necessarily the #1 star, but he can get it done and still be a star player. And
I want to continue this conversation. I just think we've actually got this is a perfect opportunity for us to actually watch an interview. I think we checked it out a couple of days ago. It was with Fallen. It was about changing the team and what's going on in the roster. We're going to go ahead and check that one out. Now, this is, of course, something you may have already seen, but we are just resolving a bit of a technical issue on stage, so why not continue this conversation and check this interview out one more time.
It was a great experience winning Odense last time, which make us the title holder for this tournament. And being completely honest, the team doesn't feel like a team that can hold the title right now, but that's because the last results were not which the one that we expected, right? But if you look for the lineup itself, we have what it takes to win the tournament. So in order for us to win this one and hold the title, I think we're going to have to play our best game. But specifically about this current lineup, the fact is we're speaking a different language. We're trying to bring a new player who has different assets than the other players had. And what's weird for us is that on practice, we have been doing super well. But I think that's where experience comes in. Like from the past defeats we had, I think the team is learning how to get better, is learning how to accept the fact that right now we're not the best team in the world, but we know how to get there and we have what it takes to get there again. Yeah, when you talk about the communication problem, it's not the fact that someone is not going to understand something, but it's the fact that the players are not using it and not convincing themselves that they don't feel 100% sure that's going to be enough to win a match. But this is changing. I mean, we knew that it would be a hard process, and we have been practicing English for almost 2 months, I would say, right now. So we can only get better. Basically, I feel like I have been calling over the last 2 or 3 years. I was able to bring some innovation into how we approach Counter-Strike for a couple of times. And right now, I think that this approach that I bring is being most common used by everyone. Zero was able to really get the group to believe a little bit more on what he wanted and to extract a little bit more of everyone in the group. So I really appreciate that. So if I have another in-game leader, maybe he can use me as an asset, as an LDP, a little bit different than I use myself, for example. So that's just one example of it. So for me, it's a pleasure to be playing with this opportunity of not be calling, and I can focus a little bit more on my game. On this event, I think the team has a little bit of a different mentality than the last tournaments. I think now everyone understands that we have to start a new history. This is a new team, this is a new lineup. It doesn't matter what we did in the past. Of course, it's going to be on everyone's mind forever. It's on the titles, on the history. But now we start something new. And to start something new, it's just like when we started in 2015. No pressure, let's just play our game, have fun. And if it doesn't work this time, we have to keep working hard and having fun. Because if you don't have fun, it's going to be over super fast and no one's going to enjoy it. So getting to the playoffs would be great, and I think this team really deserves an experience playing on stage together. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think if we get there, a different whole history can start to happen.
Now, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from that video, and I'm intrigued to know what our analysts thought, albeit rather quickly. It sounds like our issue has been resolved. But Jacob, he talks about fun and how important fun is, and it does seem like a bit of a weird balance to strike when you are being paid. This is your job. I know you're playing a video game, but how important is fun to being successful in esports?
You gotta have fun with what you do at pretty much everything you do in your life. Otherwise, it's gonna be for a limited time. I would say Counter-Strike is one of those areas I know a lot about, obviously. And when I was on teams where I did didn't have fun. I was also dropping highly and little. I was not playing up to the same extent. I was not working as hard as I wanted to, and I didn't really want to improve myself and my teammates because I didn't feel the motivation for it. It's super important to have fun because you have to play Counter-Strike for 8-10 hours a day, especially when you go into majors or a big tournament like this one. You maybe even have a boot camp where you pretty much invest your entire life 24 hours a day into Counter-Strike, and if you're not having fun with that, it's going to dry out hella fast.
Now that is a life lesson. Fun is important, and fun is coming up next. We are going to be taking a break, but that game is coming up. Dallas, are you ready to have some fun? I think they'll say everything for me. Right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, our second quarter final kicks off.
Incendiary out.
Did I seriously get that dude in smoke?
Yo.
Oh my.
Game, record, and stream without compromise. An Intel Core i7.
Wait, nice skills, but you gotta pump up that look. Let's game flip it.
What? Game flip?
Yeah, game flip. Proudly endorsed by SK Gaming. Game flip is the marketplace where 3 million gamers buy and sell items from thousands of games, including CSGO.
Much better. Looking good.
Join our ESL Pro League giveaway.
Be a boss. Buy and sell on Game Flip.
See? Red Bull gives you wings.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, Betway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, MSI, and ESEA.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you ready for the second game of the day? That's what I like to hear, Dallas, Texas. Hope everyone's having a great day today as we get ready for our second matchup. Oh boy, it's going to be good. Let's get a temperature check in the house. Who's got FaZe Clan winning this? Ooh. Okay, got some loud people right here in the front. You guys got to beat them. Where the SK Gaming fans at? All right. I like what I'm hearing. I like what I see. It's now time to start your second quarterfinal matchup.
Our own synergy, so now I'm getting more used to it and I understand the way they think. There's chemistry now, there's synergy. When I first joined Cloud9, I got a lot of hate and that was the motivation for me, but I felt like I've been competing for not so long, but for quite a while now, and I kind of got used to it. Now when I joined SK, it's like a new goal that I want to kind of achieve. I think everyone had big moments in the game. When it came to the first map on train, we played poorly on Seaside. We started off pretty slow, and that's our fault, and we couldn't find our own rhythm. We lost a very crucial round, the 15-14 round. It was really heartbreaking for us. But on CT side, we started gaining some momentum, and we started feeling the fire. So we kind of found gaps. We found out what they like to do, how they like to play, their tendencies. We were able to be calm and collected and just regather for the next map.
Do not have the time to be messing around here. They need to just bust out, and it's going to have to be either Guardian or Rain to hit a great kill out from Rain. He survives the molly as well. Electronic should get him, but Rain,
he gets there just in time.
I'm pretty good friends with FaZe, so it's a little more personal, I guess. But we try to leave in the server, and we try to bring our A game. But I don't think we're 100% right now, but hopefully we can perform well and at least get something out of the game, win or lose. But hopefully we win.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to welcome to the stage your first team. Put your hands together for FaZe Clan. With a win at IEM Sydney a few weeks back, this is a team that is regarded to be one of the best squads in the world. A consistently dominant squad looking to get right back to the top of the mountain. The question is, can they do it? Because their opponent is certainly not going to make it very easy, no siree. So now it's time to welcome the second team in this matchup. It's SK Gaming! With the new addition of Stewie 2K, this team is looking to make some waves, recapture that magic that has made this team so great in the past. They are now in a position to make it into the semi-finals. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for both squads here. And now it's time to start your second quarterfinal of the day. It's FaZe Clan versus SK Gaming.
Oh boy, FaZe Clan versus SK Gaming. Golden Boy is absolutely hitting the nail on the head that the names in that FaZe roster are so hard to look past. When you're talking about a playoff match, when you're talking about the big stage, when you're talking about tenure and history, you don't have to look much further than the FaZe Clan roster to find everything you're looking for. Chad, I mean, you've got the likes of Guardian's AWPing presence, which I think we've finally got a general consensus here, not only in his desk, but perhaps the community in general, that Guardian is making waves as the best AWPer in the world at the moment. Despite Astralis' dominance, device, amazing, Guardian, purely from that AWPing mechanics, does seem to be taking the lead.
Yeah, and that bloodlust makes him extremely exciting AWPer to watch, going for repicks time and time again. I think that's why we'd love to see it happen. But going up against Fallen, obviously he has a drop-off in recent times.
I miss him.
Yeah, and he can also do that combat AWPing better than anyone in the world. But this is where SK, they need to solve that identity crisis if they want to have any chance in this matchup. A nice little stat coming out from everyone's favorite stat man from HTV.org, Peter. He says that in the 4 best of 3s that we've seen from SK in this event, that they've picked 4 different maps. Inferno versus Astralis, they lost. Cage versus Renegades, they won. Train versus Optic, they lost. Now they picked Overpass versus FaZe. So right now, they're still trying to find themselves. They don't even have a home map right now, Alex.
What did you make of Stewie's interview as well, Jacob, when he is talking about the fact that he wanted a new challenge? I mean, I guess you can kind of admire the pursuit of something more difficult and challenging.
Yeah, I can only understand why he's trying that. I think it's admirable to try out something new, and to be honest, that Cloud9 team, I think he knew too there was somewhat of a fluke when they won the major only 6 months ago. I'm sorry to say that, but it was
we're in America, Jacob.
It was somewhat of a fluke. They obviously played well, but I think he knew that they had hit that peak at that time. So he's going to SK, the best team in the entire world, and trying out something new. I can only admire it. It's a life-changing experience, and he's going to try that. He is from America. There's not so many places to go outside of America. If not, he wanted to go to Europe, and going to SK in a Brazilian gaming house and just trying out that in such a young age, it's admirable.
Yeah, I like how he kind of caught himself when he said, "I've been playing for a long time." He really hasn't,
no,
and now
not
finds
at all.
himself in the best team that have, the only team double back-to-back majors, the only team that's done so many things in Counter-Strike, climbed the ladder to the very tippy top, and now, just 2 years since he started playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive competitively, he's in the best team.
What an absolute crazy evolution
Awesome
to this
story.
guy's career.
Awesome.
It's insane. But I think, one of the other key storylines here going into this is the fact that Karrigan's mental block going up against Fallen and winning. Well, look, man, this is a game that's not only played in the server, but it's in your head as much as the frags matter. If you can't, get your head straight, if you can't make the calls when you need to as the in-game leader, you're going to have a rough time. I think the difference here is the wingman he has of Exist, the stand-in. He is just as experienced as Karrigan, if not more, at this in-game leadership stuff. So if any help is needed, if he's racking his brain and it's getting a little bit barren for ideas, Exist is definitely going to be able to step up and help him get across that line.
Looks like the SK huddle has returned themselves to their seats, and that's an interesting one. I mean, can you quickly fill everyone in at home what the current, not necessarily statistics, but Karrigan, has he never? Is it still never? Never won a best of 3.
He's never beaten them in a best of 3 series.
Never beaten them in a best of 3, Jacob. That's madness.
It is madness, but it's 2 different eras, I would say, of these teams. So I'm not sure how much of an influence that has. Obviously, it could be a mental block for him. If anything, I think it's a great motivation for him going into this one, because once again, he's the favorite with this FaZe team going up against SK. Fallen, we talked about it before, Guardian being maybe the best AVP player in the world. Fallen is not even main opping on this SK lineup anymore. There's so many unknown factors and so many questions we keep asking ourselves about this SK lineup that I think the fact that Karrigan has never won against him is kind of a non-factor.
He has been plagued by quote-unquote curses. First semi-finals was where his dreams would always stop. He managed to crush that one, and there was certainly a sense of relief on his face when it managed it. Now he's going up against Fallen. He has never managed to in-game lead a best of 3 against him, and now he has an opportunity to do so with a hamstrung SK.
And he's going to need his star Nico to continue that form that we've seen from Sydney coming into this event, still one of the highest rated players in the tournament. He's going to have to be that mainstay for FaZe. Now, obviously losing Olaf was a blow in the firepower department. Exist has definitely been making plays and making the impact kills, but Nico is standing out now. Before, we didn't know really how it was going to settle. Rain, we thought, would be the support player. He turned out to be an absolute monster. So that trio of Rain, Nico, and Guardian needs to be firing on all cylinders, with Nico leading the way, in my opinion, in this matchup against SK Gaming.
Overpass first. Expectations for Overpass here, Jacob. How does this one play out in your head?
I mean, we saw it earlier this tournament. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, SK playing Overpass, and they changed the entire setup. It's now no longer Fallen playing A with that AVP. It's Stu 2K and Fur, I believe, and it didn't look too great, to be honest. Fallen is now being played as a support player with the rifle, which is not his strongest ability. Obviously, he's clever enough to be able to do it, and he's a team player with a big T. He does everything he can for his teams to win, and that's admirable. But I think you're taking away his strongest suit, which is the AVP, and then you put in Stu 2K, who didn't seem too comfortable playing that A-bomb side. So I think they're going to have their hands full, and we also saw FaZe play Overpass having one hell of a T side against, I believe it was Mouse Sports. Na'Vi, can't remember. Anyway, they got 90 rounds, and you know, if Steel 2K is not feeling it on that A bomb side straight away, they're gonna have an opening right there.
Yeah, with map specifics in mind, with the change-up, if you do just give heads-up duels to SK Gaming, right, if you just go head-to-head with them, if you're the FaZe clan, that's where you're giving them their most ideal scenario. They're just going to want to take fights because still the communication is something that's a teething issue that they're working on. Normally in the mid-rounds is where SK would thrive. That's where they'd make the plays, they'd make the really good reads. Someone would step up and do something individually amazing.
Absolutely, they would. All right. Sounds like we're going to be jumping into this one. SK Gaming on one side of the stage, FaZe Clan on the other. It sounds like Dallas crowd is a little divided, which only means we're going to get an extra loud crowd every round. And our casters are locked and loaded. Jason, Jordan, I've got this crowd warmed up for you.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much, Alex. And indeed, FaZe trying to accomplish what has been impossible for them for so long, defeating SK Gaming in a best-of-3, or Kerrigan still unable to do it. He's had to overcome so many different curses over his career, and he's got one more left.
Yeah, but you would say this is his best chance thus far. This is probably the first time FaZe are coming into this matchup as the favorites, or at least in my mind they're coming in as the favorites. We'll see how it does end up playing out as SK make their way straight into that B bomb site, immediately stopped by Exist, but there is a trade back from SK Gaming, and they're starting to overwhelm this site for Coldzera. They're coming up with the goods, and it's just Kerrigan left alive, and he has to clutch this one out. 1 versus 3. Gets rid of the first one, and that does put it back to the 3. Slowing things down, and of course, there's still so many SK players to find for him, and this is a very, very, very hard round for him. Just trying to find anything, and SK's not giving him a single chance.
Time's running down, though. He has to press forward. He's got very little HP. He does have a kid if he can find these 2 headshots. There's one, and he's on the verge of doing it, but behind him is Fallen, and he gets it! Kerrigan somehow does it!
How's he managed to do that?
He's stolen it away from SK.
I was counting him out of that round for the longest time.
I think everybody was. That should have, oh my lord, Kerrigan hit some incredible shots. Obviously wanting to win this one at SK. That's got to be frustrating if you're them. You have the bomb site. It's a 1-on-4 at one point, and you're thinking it's all done.
Well, it just seemed like SK wasn't even giving him the opening. No one was really peeking, and then all of a sudden he gets that first frag, decides to push on forward, and SK starts peeking him one by one, and the opportunity presents itself. Kerrigan says, thank you very much. I'll start this one off with a 1-0. The pistol round goes the way of FaZe.
He had no idea where Fallen was as well. Missed shots coming out of the Opper and former in-game leader of SK, Fallen, and that's going to be all the opportunity he needs. So Kerrigan somehow gets FaZe started with the opening pistol. And we're all going to have to calm down. It is a buy from SK. They've dropped the AK-47 over to Stewie. 3 Deagles and a CZ on Fur.
Yeah, SK not too keen to give up control of this map just yet. So like you said, that investment from SK, it's not what you would typically see after the bomb goes down in round 1. You'd be seeing an eco out in this round, and then the AK's next. But SK, they want to take this back straight away.
It's a shame because they set the pace very, very well in that pistol round. They got into the B bomb site very quick. FaZe wasn't prepared for it whatsoever. Now this is slowed down. There's going to be a crossfire. The angle from Nico, he spots the ankles, takes Fur off. Fur out at the legs, and now they push through Monster, but they're going to be completely blinded. Utility usage for FaZe, pretty solid. They're not able to swing the corner. The AK hasn't even been involved. Finally, it rings out, but it might be too late.
Oh, well, you say that, but Stewie's starting to come up with the goods here for SK Gaming. They still have 45 seconds on that clock. It's a 3 versus 3 as they enter into the B site. Kerrigan, once again, is holding strong, and Guardian is there as the reinforcements, but now it's on to Fallen, and for no real amount of time, as he does go down, and FaZe, they secure their second, but a fair few guns lost there, though they have managed to fire themselves an eco, so they'll be happy about that one. And SK will definitely have to take the eco here.
Yeah, no plant. That one's going to hurt, and SK, that big gamble of the economy, doesn't pan out at all. They do get 3 kills, which is nice, but if you can't continue the pressure, eventually that's going to subside. So nicely done from FaZe to sustain in that small bit of danger. That round 2-0 for them, and this should be much easier. You have the Deagle on Stewie, you have the Deagle on Fallen, so it might be a little bit slow and a little calculated as they see if those Deagles can find any lucky headshots. Great nade over towards Fur. They'll have to store that one away. That nade is going to be coming over those walls.
Yeah, that's put a bit of a stop to the progression of SK as they've set themselves up in the playground here. Just having a bit of a chill sesh right now. FaZe have invested in quite a lot of M4s, and I guess the AK, of course, coming through from the last round. But yeah, a lot of rifles in this round for FaZe. Not leaving anything to chance. Just ensuring that if SK were to do anything a little bit crazy here, They have the stopping power that they need. Just the one SMG there on Exist to farm up the cash. So that's not what FaZe are necessarily interested in so much in this round. They just want to get it over and done with.
But they also want to keep players alive, right? That's got to be, even if the plant comes in, there's going to be a buy next round anyway. So at this point, if you're FaZe, you lost 3 in the previous, you got to be thinking about that cash money. Got to grow up what you have to be able to sustain and use it in the future. Guardian playing very passively at this A bomb site. There's a nice headshot onto Stewie. Deagle will be recycled to the next user if they can reach it. Still no one pressuring these bomb sites. Now you can see Fallen going to start getting a closer angle, but with no utility, that's not going to be a set hit. If there's no picks of the Deagles, this round just fizzles out.
Yeah, Guardian just going to cross back into the bomb site, spots out a little bit more information there for FaZe, and that timer is ticking away here for SK Gaming. Like you said, they don't have any utility, no flashbangs even to get them into the site though. Another thing you mentioned was the Deagles getting those headshots might be the opening that SK needs, and they'll be able to find one, but one is more than acceptable for FaZe at this point. If they can take all 4 of those rifles through, they're going to be happy, and they will almost be able to do that. Yep, Exist has managed to find the extra M4 there, so it's a good round out for FaZe, and now we get to see the first buyout here from SK Gaming. This is their first chance now to come back and start things off here on Overpass.
5 AKs across the board. We'll see how fast they want to take this. We did see that pistol round, essentially a rush towards that B bomb site. Do they want to keep that tone? Do they want to keep that pace in these all-important rounds? Guardian has his AWP. It's going to be tough. Remember, SK now has that daunting task of forcing Rain back, of preventing him from being too aggressive and too confident towards Fountain. We know he can be an absolute nightmare. Kind of a mirror match in a way when SK will switch over to the defensive side with Fur. For the moment, it's Rain's turn to try and have that early impact, and for the moment, he's going to fall away, as actually SK is just very cautious as well. They're looking for some of that aggression themselves.
Yeah, but neither team at the moment is feeling comfortable enough to do anything overly aggressive. We're not seeing any CT pushes out just yet from FaZe. And on the same token, SK, every single round that they've really played so far, with the exception of the pistol, has been more of a default than anything else, at least initially. It's time now, though, rotating down towards the underpass.
Keep in mind, they only have a couple flashbangs, so it's going to be hard for them to neutralize all the possible angles that Guardian can be, and they only have the one, so they just use one of 3 smokes now. Running low on nades to use, and that's going to kind of force Guardian away, but they have control of stairs, 50 seconds, and they still haven't done much across the map. Still haven't shown a whole lot of presence, still haven't really challenged FaZe for anything. So this defense is kind of trying to get the information of what's coming. Exist and Nico again. Nico once more aggressive out towards the door. Have a chance. Remember, he picked off Fur here 1 round, and the smoke is going to go down right at the door, which means he can be relatively aggressive with safety.
Pretty good time to put it down as well. Not much left for SK. So they're going to have to wait that one out. Cold Zero with the bomb is stuck behind it. That allows Nico back into the site. The pop flash out into Monster. He's going to spray down 2. Actually, it's Exist to get the second frag there, but still great work from FaZe. And now Nico challenges the second player, and it's Fallen to go down. SK, they haven't managed to get anything done at all in this round, and FaZe, they've just decimated SK there.
That's far too slow and calculated for SK. They didn't even, you're exactly right. They never did anything in the round. They just kind of slowly got the most basic control towards Picnic and Fountain, go down the stairs, and when the clock's running down, FaZe isn't going to let you just have everything you want. They want to go find it eventually. Pop Flash just catches them completely. Under 20 seconds in the round, of course FaZe is going to take a peek like that, just so at least they know what's coming to them. And it's a wipeout. Now FaZe is building up an economy. Now they've got some money behind them.
And now SK needs to start getting a little bit worried. Yes, it's only 4-0, but this FaZe is looking very good, and that first gun round does fill them with quite a significant amount of confidence. Pistols and armor out for SK. The option here really is to just try and get some economic damage going. We're not expecting to see SK come away with a round win here, but if they can at least peg back a few guns and do some damage to that CT economy, they can feel like they've achieved something. And once more, it will be the B bomb site that SK decide to have an expedition into. It hasn't started off too nicely either, as Exist is holding again on that B bomb site, backed up by Nico. Inevitably, Nico does go down, but all in all, not too bad of a result for FaZe. They've only lost the 2 guns. That's good enough. Their economy continues to build, and they're up to 5-0 now.
This is very nice for FaZe, and you have to think back to that pistol round. This could have been a complete reversal if SK was just able to close out a 3-on-1 versus Kerrigan, and it doesn't happen. So now they face the other direction. Still time to come back into this. Fallen's got his AWP, so there's a new tool. And actually, if you think about this, Exist and Nico, they've been solid over at this B bomb site. They've had some great defenses outside of, obviously, that pistol round initially. But ever since then, they've looked. This is Guardian, who wants that opening pick. He's got Kerrigan and Rain moving up with him at long A. They're at that final rock, and they're waiting, I think, for his contact to kind of turn the corner.
This is something we haven't seen yet from FaZe, but now they're starting to get a little bit more comfortable in this matchup and feeling a little bit more confident in themselves. Perhaps the undoing, though, as Fallen this time does find the first kill. So with that AWP starting off, it's 1-0 to Fallen versus Guardian. That's the first time we've seen the opening pick for SK as well. It's definitely a better start to this gun round than the last.
Oh, here we go. It's all on this one right here. Kerrigan into the wall to dodge a flashbang. Rain behind the rock. He needs to get the first kill. Peeks up. There's one jumping. He doesn't find that. Kerrigan turns. They've demolished the hit. The bomb is on the ground. And FaZe, their dominance continues.
And Stewie's just trying to figure out what the hell is going on right now, because he's running up to the A bomb site, but the rest of his teammates are non-existent. Bolts, of course, is there, but now in a 2 versus 4, these two remaining SK players have a world of hurt ahead of them, and Stewie, he doesn't know what's coming for him right now. Or perhaps he does as he peeks the corner, but there's, of course, 2 players there for FaZe, and Rain is able to get the trade quite effectively, which leaves it all on the shoulders of Bolts. 30 seconds on that clock, and he's going to rotate down to the B site. Desperation move now for him, as there is not much time left.
I don't even know if he can actually make this. Nico's going to be here. He can either stop him on the cross or just delay him for enough time, but either way, he can definitely stop the plant from coming through, get some damage. 10 seconds, and if Bolts wants to get in and just stick this plant, he's got to do it. But Rain is going to shut him down from above. 6-0 for FaZe. And in reality, I mean, it's not just... I know it's a blank scoreline for SK, but they really don't have a whole lot of production in kind of anyway. They've got, what, 11 kills total across the team, so nothing really clicking too well. That's a nice shot from Fall. That's a nice duel for him to take. One of the kind of things you may not notice initially with that is the kind of patience before he takes that peek, because he knows eventually Guardian's going to have to consider the fact that players from FaZe can come up the stairs. They can come up from underpass and actually take him from that side. So he's got to manage his attention, and Fallen just finds the right timing. It's a lucky guess, but you know if you're patient enough, you might be able to increase your chances of finding him not scoped in on your angle.
Well, it's a small little prize in an otherwise empty field for SK so far, down 6-0. And this is their map choice as well, so you'd want to be seeing them a little bit more threatening than what they are right now. Last couple of times we've seen these in a best of 3 or a best of 5 series against FaZe. It's both times been SK that came away with the map victory. And so far, it's not looking like we're anything close to that. In fact, it's quite the opposite, as FaZe have started off fantastically. We'll see a force buy out here from SK by the looks of things, or at least getting their money back in line. FaZe got himself the AK and the armor. Cold0 with the scout. It's just a bit of a mix buy, really, from SK. The party mix is what we like to call it down under. But for FaZe, they've got everything that they want.
Well, Rain's starting to be aggressive again, or keeping up his aggression from the previous round. He's going to stick around a little bit longer than Guardian, but still going to fall away. There's that timing again, his internal clock telling him to back off, especially without any kind of support. Guardian cheating over towards the B bomb site. So 4 players stacked up there for FaZe, but at the moment, that's not where SK is even close to heading. Looks like they want to split towards A, but with these guns, they're going to take it cautiously. They've got 4 flashbangs in a smoke, so an idea of what they want to do, but obviously going to allow some of these deagles, the scout, to peek into the bomb sites and try and find an opening kill.
Rangers holding around the bathrooms, backed up by Guardian. And the smoke down will maneuver, feeling like he's a little bit safe. But if SK get a nice pop flash through this smoke and bust out, maybe Rain might have a bit of a surprise headed for him, and that's exactly what SK have decided to do, though Rain definitely avoiding the flashbang. He'll get the first 2. That's enough. Stewie's been able to trade him out, and that is another AK in the hands of SK, but with a 2-player, or rather a 1-player deficit, SK going to find it difficult to get into this site. However, I speak too soon. Stewie, again, stepping up here for SK. We're back into a 3v3. If the next kill goes the way of SK, which it might just, Exist, though, does deny that idea. Kerrigan looking so solid for FaZe as well, and it's just Cold0 with a scout. He can't get anything done. And Kerrigan shuts down another round. He's been so solid for FaZe so far here on Overpass.
The one able to take him out, and then just doing a very good job finding some of these frags right at the end. Cold0 with no armor and just the scout. 7-0. AK's back on the board for SK. Another round without a plant. They haven't been able to get into a bomb site and get that bomb down since the pistol. Not looking good. Starting to get grim for SK, and Guardian boosted up. Next element of danger. Fur's got to be careful how he approaches this.
Well, I almost thought Nico wanted to push through that smoke, but he's decided to back off from the monster tunnel, and Guardian will be the one to open things up. Fur goes down. You said he had to be careful. Well, not careful enough, it seems.
It was at least a flashbang, right? But Guardian just outplays him so hard. That was really well done. Nade follow-up coming through in case anyone's going to follow in Fur's footsteps. Doesn't deal the damage, but it was a good idea. coldzera's right at the lip of the tunnel. And he's scared of Guardian as well. Just the fear of that AWPer being around the corner is just slowing down the pace from SK. They sent all 5 players towards the B bomb site. They can't go anywhere else on the map. This is the only option they have, and there's currently 3 players waiting for him. Nico, Exist, and Guardian.
And Guardian's completely changed up his position as well with that AWP. So that's just going to be another piece of the puzzle that SK needs to figure out. They do make their way, again, slowly up through the monster tunnel. Nico gets himself a flashbang down to deny a little bit of time, but he'll lose the trade against Stewie, which brings us back to a 4v4. Entirely possible for SK to make this one work, but they need to progress further onto that bomb site. In fact, Stewie, actually a fairly open plant here, is going to get away with it on 14 HP. If there was going to be some spam through from FaZe, that could have been his undoing, or even that HE nade in the hands of Rain. Regardless, though, the bomb is down for SK, and now it is a retake for FaZe. That's definitely a better scenario than what SK have seen in the past few rounds. As it now puts the owners back in the hands of FaZe. They need to be the ones pushing forward and making the moves. Fallen dispatching of Exist to start things off. Still 4 players to find on SK, but FaZe are not finding any advantages, and we might just see the first round here for FaZe as Bolts does get rid of Rain, and Guardian, he's just going to have to save here. He's got absolutely no time. And finally, SK have managed to put one on the board.
That's really well done. A nice entry from Stewie. That's actually big. The fact that he's able to get in. And once Nico goes down, it kind of requires Exist to fall back and be a little bit more cautious and play more retake style. And from there, I mean, Fallen just has so much room with the AWP to find those picks at range. So finally, SK gets it done with that B hit. They favored that bomb site. You can kind of see why. I mean, that defense for FaZe over towards A has been really hard to hold, but once Nico goes down, they have that site. Now they just have to build upon it. The next step is winning 2 in a row where they struggle to get there first. Double up setup comes out for FaZe as well. The next evolution of this defense. 1 on Guardian, 1 on Nico can be so deadly, and again, Fur is going to be the aggressor.
There's positioning here for Guardian as well. He does spot the player out in underpass, but there's quite a significant amount of CTs towards that B bomb site, and that's once again where SK are choosing to hit. But Nico waiting with that AWP. He might not have the angle, needs the backup here of Exist, and he does get it. The information is given. Nico hits the first shot, flashbang to force him back, and now these CTs are both stuck in a fairly similar position, which means SK can start to push on forward and punish, and coldzera does just that. 2 kills for him. Karrigan to shut him down, but still, the damage is done as SK have opened up the site. Now, though, they need to stabilize and fall, and what on earth is that shot? He does get rid of Karrigan, but it means Fur now is all on his own, 2 versus 1. FaZe might have just done enough on this defense. It's been a very messy one from both sides, but FaZe have that player advantage, and now it's all in the hands of Fur.
Oh, he's done the headshot. He goes to the second, and he's going to get it. Fur saves the round. A 1-on-2 clutch. And SK, they've done it. They finally built, and they've taken so much money away from FaZe in these last few rounds. Guardian with 6,700 is plenty of money. They can rebuy into it, but it's going to be a little bit beat up. That is gorgeous from Fur. Had a couple missed shots earlier on in this half, but this was stunning. Nice transfer to Rain, who was going to clear that position, but Guardian just gets exposed far too early.
That's a really crazy round. coldzera getting a nice 2-man spray down, and then, of course, Fur with the clutch. Some individuals stepping up now for SK, which is what they need. Obviously, down 7-2. We have to have a look at, obviously, coldzera to have a big impact here for SK. But Fur, I think, was, for me, the standout when we were watching SK's game against the Renegades earlier on in this tournament. He was really having a good game. So he's going to be one that I'll keep an eye on as well. That aggression, potentially out on the CT side when SK do swap over. That would be quite exciting to see. And for FaZe, like you mentioned, their buy is going to come through, but this will be their last. And they don't have really enough to even put a full buy in here.
This is where you unleash Guardian. This is where you just tell them you need to take over this round for us, or at least find us the opening pick. Go be aggressive. Go play with your instincts. Rain and Karrigan going to be able to cover that staircase, so he can actually stay aggressive as long as he likes. A lot of pressure from nades and flashbangs, though, forces them off pretty quick. A lot of smokes already on the ground. I think at least 4 have been used. As SK slowly progresses across the map, they've got some not too much money built up.
Bit of a push out here from Nico and Exist into dirty water, getting some information, getting some territory. In fact, all of FaZe are starting to push a little bit further forward in this round than where they've been defaulting on the CT side so far. They know that they don't have the weapons really to take a one-on-one fight on those bomb sites when all the utility comes in from SK. So they're trying to take the game here to the T side. Rain's been punished for it just a little bit, down to 12 HP, but that's certainly not where he wants to be with only a CZ in his hands as well. It's going to make his life incredibly difficult. FaZe now have to start rotating back into that A-bomb site because SK, slow progression up long, but they're going to get there eventually.
You really like this FaZe style of pushing into those short sewers and finding control. That Nico's done it a couple times, and it provides a lot of information. They're going to fall out of it just now, and a new angle for SK to attack. They are going towards the location of Guardian, but Kerrigan is going to be that first line of defense of the FAMAS, and he's actually deep into bank, just jumping over. He's caught in the open. A mistake from Kerrigan. It's all on Guardian. Misses the shot. It's baited out now. He knows Fur probably swinging wide. The Molotov going to force him into the open on top of the boxes, but a flashbang has saved his life, but not for nearly long enough. And SK finally swarms in. That'll be a third for them. Exist and Nico, there's nothing they can do to stop this, and they might want to start trying to save this M4.
Well, Nico's still hanging around for the moment, but this is a very... SK, they've won this round. There's no way that FaZe is going to be able to get in and defuse the bomb at this point. Nico's still trying to do some damage, but realistically speaking, how much can he actually do to that T-side economy? Exist is going to drop. That's the UMP gone. Nico is still hanging around. He wants the AK? I'm not sure what he wants. He's not going to get out of here alive anymore.
A little bit of a love tap at the end from Fallen, and yeah, that's going to do the damage that causes Nico to die. So a third round from SK. At once started to look like a blowout at 7-0, but SK have recovered.
At pretty much the right time as well. If they would have let this blow out anymore, FaZe were running away with the first half. But SK, they managed to chime in at the right time, and now they've essentially reset FaZe.
I think crucially as well, they've taken the AWP away from Guardian. So, I mean, the losing bonus is going to have to build up. He'll be able to get it in the next round if he doesn't buy anything here. But he'll have to do it with no armor. So that's going to be something a little bit scary for FaZe. How much do they want to save to get that AWP back in his hands? How much do they think they need it? And if not, I mean, SK could take advantage of that. We'll have to see how it plays out. But again, they're getting control, and now they can be a little bit more aggressive and assertive as they don't have to worry too much about getting picked off. Rain is in the stairs. He's the only one, and now he's surrounded. Stewie waiting on the other end, but they don't know the numbers inside, so they're just going to let Rain go.
Ferrer is certainly keen to be getting a little bit aggressive here with that MAC-10, but in fact, it will be Bolts to open the account here for SK. And Rain, he's still floating around in the bathrooms. Not much presence up on the A-bomb site. Not that SK know it just yet. We'll see a little bit of a counter-aggression out from FaZe as they try to regain some control of this round, some control of the map. But in the end, it's really going to be their undoing as SK...
Not a real risk of them losing the round, so it will be 4 for SK, as I don't even know if FaZe is going to attempt to go for too much. We'll try and get some exits. Exist is waiting patiently at the top of the stairs. Bolts is keeping his eye on that. Guardian and Nico have Coldzera isolated in the bomb site, but not really being the aggressors.
FaZe would love to come away with a couple of AKs here, which they could absolutely do. Nico's going to cover off the long angle with a smoke, but he needs to hit a very nice shot here with the Deagle. He's not going to be able to do it. Coldzera shuts him down. And Exist, the late play out. Doesn't get anything there either.
Nico had his chance with the Deagle. He had plenty of shots there, and we know he's got a very effective Deagle. Just can't land any of those. A bit of a shame. SK, 4 rounds on the T side of Overpass. Good reason, and he's kind of been, him and Rain both have been kind of neutralized with some of that aggression they've taken out. Fallen won that initial duel. The only thing that really worked was that Rain Kerrigan stack out towards long, but we haven't seen Rain really go past that staircase by Fountain. And again, SK gonna open this round with all 5 players on the other side of the map, and this is where that becomes a big factor. If Rain were being more aggressive, as we've seen him do in the past, he would find this.
Got Kerrigan over on the B bomb site now though, so there's 3 players there for FaZe where they've typically just had Nico and Exist. Here's the double stack, the boost. SK might be walking right into it. Looks like Bolts is semi-aware, although perhaps not aware enough. And Nico will find the opening frag here. SK They use that as their time to enter the site, and they'll get one kill off the back of it. But Carrigan is here, and he gets two, not quite the third, but Nico is there to clean up the scraps. And it's all on Fallen for SK. He's going to go down, Rain on the flank, and FaZe, they come back into it with another round, up 8-4 now.
Carrigan is delivering the goods when he's been called upon. First the pistol round 1 versus 4. Now this time when all seems lost. The crazy thing about SK is if they did that hit and Bolts doesn't swing out wide, they just basically get 2 free kills. But here's Carrigan, not only the 2 frags, but even the dink after that to help make, I think that was for an easy kill for his teammates. So really well done holding on. A nice call on the strategy. Aggressiveness from Guardian and Rain. Not highly aggressive, not completely unchained, but pushed up pretty far, and then a 3-man stack over at the B bomb site, and they're going to go for it again. Same exact setup coming out for FaZe.
Yeah, and fairly similar for SK as well. They've really liked hitting this B bomb site so far. Nico just having a peek through the tunnel. Won't see anything just yet, but SK, they are progressing into the B site, making a lot of noise. Carrigan gets his smoke down to avoid that Molotov, buys himself some more time as SK start to make some inroads into the site. Still no kills coming out just yet, but coldzera will open up for SK. He's immediately traded back by Rain, but on the B bomb site, it's chaos. And SK, they're coming out the better for it. Got so many frags, and it's just the 2 remaining players for FaZe now. Rain, though, in an interesting position here. Can he deny the bomb plant? He was close, but not close enough.
This is going to be tough. Rain's going to have to fight his way out. Fallen's looking for his fallback, but Guardian pushing forward. He wants to spearhead this retake, at least see if they can go for something. He's got to find someone. Got to do it quick. This is a tough angle to check, but of course he's going to get it. Guardian on point there, but Stewie, there's just too many bodies in the water for him to handle, and Rain's got to fall away. He's got to try and get out. It's going to be a 5th rule, and that hit comes in primarily through Monster. There's not enough defense, not enough support for Carrigan. That's a relatively easy take, only losing 1 player on the initial hit.
That's really bad news as well here for FaZe, as they've won the 1 round, but they can't follow it up with another, so the reset comes out straight away, and a fantastic chance now for SK to come straight back into this first half. It was looking really, really bad for them, but they've come back into it with a vengeance. Now up to 5, a chance definitely for 6. Even 7 seems very realistic for them right now. Guardian, well, he's had a couple of nice shots with the AWP, but all in all, I feel like his impact hasn't quite been there on the CT side for FaZe. It will be the buy through for the CTs as well, so they've decided to put all their eggs into this basket and hope for the best.
It's going to have big implications. This will have huge implications for the rest of this half as well. I mean, obviously, there's only going to be 1 round left after that. It'll have to be a force buy, but it would really need to have this one to extend this lead past 8. It's been a 5-1 run for SK Gaming as they have rebounded in this match. And at this point, I think if you're SK, you're going to be very happy, especially considering that pistol round, that you can kind of get that behind you. You won't even be thinking about it, but we get to think about it, so we can always say if that pistol round went the way, this could be a completely different reversal. This could be FaZe with a huge mountain to climb, but they were given a gift, and now they got to work with it. We'll see what they have here. Guardian's going to push down the stairs. He's all alone pushed up. Rain is going to be over towards that B-bomb site instead of Carrigan this time. I mean, with a timely HE grenade, going to do very nice chip damage on a Stewie and Fern. He's just going to fall all the way back.
Yeah, really important damage in a round like this as well, when you've got a CZ, a couple of UMPs. That extra 20 or 30 HP on those 2 players could be the difference between life and death. There's a pop flash out for Bolts, and there's a couple of CTs pushing off the back of it, but Bolts is very, very aware. Just backing off. He knows that he's on his own. Doesn't necessarily need to be taking those risks right now. FaZe aren't going to get anything off that.
He knows what that flashbang means, and he also knows he doesn't need to take those fights. Probably the worst thing that could happen was for him to die in that scenario with that push. So he's told his team, FaZe has pushed out a monster. They've cleared out over towards this B bomb site. They're calling it clear, and there's the pick. Exist can't get back with safety. Doors opened on him when he's halfway up the ramp. Now it's just Rain. Look how isolated he is. No one can come to his help. No one can come to his rescue, and he's got to do everything. Deciding to get aggressive. Stewie's going to lead the way. Flashbang over, gets the first kill, follows it up with a second, but Bolts is there, and Rain dispatches him with ease.
That's exactly what Rain needed to do in this round for FaZe. It was the only chance that they had to win the round, and he's come up with the goods. And now SK, they've stumbled. 2 players left, Fallen and Fur. Well, it's absolutely possible for them, but it needs to be some nice shooting, and it's now just Fallen. He does get rid of 1, but he doesn't know there is a couple of players lurking very close by. He's going to miss that shot. That is going to be his death. Nico shuts him down. And off the back of that 3K from Rain, FaZe put themselves up to 9, and that could also mean 10.
I want to see that triple kill again. That was so nasty from Rain. That was beautiful control. Shooting through the fence as well, which can always be tricky, but he makes it look so easy. Doesn't even realize Bolts is going to be there, and he comes back for more. That is a beautiful individual effort. That saves FaZe in the round, gives them 9-5, and more importantly, gives them another bye in this half that can help them extend the lead to 10.
Big implications for the rest of this map. Potentially just off that one triple kill that Rain is able to find. Now FaZe, they're coming back into it, and look at this, Rain! He's decided he doesn't want to mess around anymore and just pushes on forward. Fallen and Fur do fall. Bolts and Cold Zero, they find themselves in an all too familiar scenario now for SK in a 2v5. Essentially, at this point, it feels unwinnable.
Rain's aggression has been so tempered and so conservative throughout this entire half, and he lulls SK into a false sense of security. That's one of the first times we've seen SK try and take that area fast, try and get over towards Long A very quick in the round, and Rain, that's the one he chooses to be aggressive and punishes them the most. And he just builds into it, he seems. He just keeps getting better and better. Every time he makes a play, it just improves his effort in the next round. Bolt's going to entry onto that B bomb site, and one more player here. That's going to be Exist. Nico is starting to push out. He's going to go for a flank. Exist just needs to live, but he's going to challenge. He's going to challenge around the corner, and he's going to lose it. Nade ringing true, but still, SK, they just don't have a hope with this flank coming in. Nico's going to end him. Nico's going to end this half with a double kill. 10-5 for FaZe Clan.
Some very impactful rounds out there for FaZe. It could have, like you said, been a very different half there had, for example, the pistol gone the way of SK, or had Rain not gotten that 3K. We might have seen ourselves at an 8-7, a 9-6 even for SK Gaming, but not the case.
It could have been so different. I mean, it's incredible recovery from SK Gaming, but they got to feel a little bit bummed about that, especially when they go back when you talk about that round at the end of the day, especially if they lose the series, it's like, how do we lose that pistol?
Yeah.
And there's no logical answer for it. Kerrigan just hit some very nice shots. FaZe gave him SK gave him every opportunity, but still, throughout the half, I mean, SK started getting into it. They very much favored that B bomb site. And look at the performances. Those are not the scores.
402 ADR, I'd be happy with that.
That's like the pre-game deathmatch performance.
Yeah.
10-5, we're going to get live into this second half pistol round as SK still with more of a comeback needed. All 5 players with armor on the SK defense. And FaZe as well, just going to head over to that B bomb site. They're saying, you know, whatever you can do, we can do it better. And here they come. It's going to be a complete retake. Only Cold Zera at this B site. He's backed away. And he's going to let this plan happen. No damage has been dealt until Guardian hits someone in the face. And now they push forward onto Cold Zera. Gets caught in the middle of a spam. And even Kerrigan's going to get an easy one on the Stewie.
Yeah, very fast round out there from FaZe. They don't want to relinquish any of the pressure that is on SK right now, and they have absolutely succeeded in that mission. 4 players left for FaZe and nothing there for SK. So the second pistol goes the way of FaZe. They're now up 11-5. SK, they haven't got that boost to the CT economy that they wanted and potentially needed. And they didn't get those, or they're not going to get those 3 free rounds. It's really an uphill battle for SK now.
You could tell they know it as well, going for this buy. Yeah, we do see it, but if they had a little bit more, I think this might go differently. But Fallen with the Scout especially is the one that kind of sells it to me like they're starting to feel the pressure a little bit, at least in this individual map, just because otherwise, if they had some rounds to play with, he would likely stay for that AWP, I would imagine. He's going to push up with the Scout anyways. He can do some work with it. We saw Chris J getting fancy with the Scout against Liquid earlier today, but Fallen's going to show us what he's got.
Well, he's already down to 55 HP, which has softened him up quite significantly. And FaZe have put a couple of AKs in this round, a Galil as well. Quite a hefty investment from FaZe. It could reap its rewards. They force Fallen off the line with a flashbang. More map control here for FaZe. Slow and steady, but they're getting the job done. They have plenty of time to play with.
FaZe is being so cautious across this map. It's only Guardian who's pushed up with that MAC-10, really the only one trying to find something. And I think because he's seen nobody and he's felt no pressure anywhere as he's kind of moved up, that's why you see FaZe all rotating around. And they're going to take the safest pathway, this long A passage towards the A bomb site. Just because at this range, this is where you'd expect the AKs, the Galil, to really do the damage.
But also potentially where the Scout can do the most damage, and this is exactly where Fallen is holding. He spotted the info. He's going to get a shot across, but he does not manage to connect, and that's what SK really needed. They need to be softening these targets up before they do get too close. Carrigan, he opens the account there for FaZe, and the rest are going to be closing it. As Exist finds a double, and now SK relying on just another couple of players. The smokes come out for FaZe and keep them safe. The bomb goes down. SK have not achieved what they set out to do in this round.
They actually had the right read. They had 3 players at that site. What they really needed was either a pick from Fallen with the scout or one more kill from the CZ or one of the Deagles inside that bomb site. You needed to take off those kind of entry players for FaZe to allow time for, you know, guys that are on the rotate to come over and actually get involved. Stewie and Cold. Regardless, not going to happen. FaZe going to win one they should. 12-5. They handled that very nicely, only losing Kerrigan. Stewie's still somewhere on the map, but they know they don't need to chase him down. Let him have the Deagle, let him have the armor into the next round, and actually might get a chance to take the MAC-10 away from Guardian.
Not a huge loss, though, for FaZe if that does eventuate. And it won't.
Bonus money for Guardian.
Can't complain. When you want to get that AWP, every little bit counts. And Guardian also gets to keep the MAC-10 and the armor through in this round, so more of a chance for him to build that money up. We're at 12-5 now. This scoreline is starting to look quite scary for SK. Bearing in mind as well, it's their map pick, so to be going down this heavily, it doesn't bode well for the future.
No, it really doesn't. And SK's had kind of a, I mean, just outside of how this current lineup with Stewie's been playing, I mean, even their map pool has been in flux. One of the, you know, at one point, the team with the most dominant map pool, and I think now they feel like they've got a lot of maps that they're good on, or they're strong enough on to challenge anyone, but not any map that they can rely on to kind of deliver for them every single series. So they're kind of in a rough spot in that sense, as well as that'll have to be one of the things they work on, including the communication with Stewie. For now, though, down 5-12, just pistols, pushing forward as a team. And again, one more time, FaZe is just being more than cautious across the map. 1 minute and 10 seconds. Rain and Guardian going to clear out these stairs together. MAC-10 combined with the AK-47 can do some work. Rain doesn't see the boost. This can be a little bit scary for Rain, and he is going to get taken down. Nice shot from Stewie. Guardian's there with the MAC-10 to kind of shore things up to make sure no one pushes forward and gets that AK.
That's exactly what he needs to do right now. Making sure that, like you said, no one can grab that weapon and put it in the hands of SK. He does get tagged down quite heavily, and SK probably could have actually just burst out and overwhelmed him with numbers. He was running out of ammo as well in that MAC-10, but SK, they're not bold enough to go for a play like that. They didn't want to feed the MAC-10 any cash, and, well, Guardian, he gets another kill for himself there. coldzera's done a good job to get rid of 2, but in the end, it is just going to be on the hands of Fur and FaZe. Despite having lost a few guns in this round, they're not going to be too disappointed. Another round is really what they want at this point. Round by round makes the job easier. And SK, when they come into their first gun round, they're only going to have 3 rounds left to play with.
I was going to say, like, yeah, these losses aren't great, obviously, for FaZe if this was a closer match. But the scoreline being 12-5 at the moment, and more than likely to be 13-5, kind of helps ease the sting of some of these losses. So Fur's going to come through, and I think if you're Fur, unfortunately, he's got Nico flanking behind him, but Exist doesn't even let it get to that point. And there we are. FaZe extend the lead one more time, but we're going to have the first buy of this half coming in for SK. M4 is being picked up from Bolts, Stewie, coldzera, and even Fallen's going to have to go down to that. He did buy that scout in the second round. Desperate times for SK. Perhaps one chance to stay in this map, and it's right now.
Yeah, we get to see a bit of the mentality, what SK wants to do in this round. Is it going to be aggression on the CT side, try and catch FaZe off guard, or are they going to play standard? I wonder if they feel comfortable enough to play standard right now, because FaZe has been beating them at every turn. So for SK, it sort of feels like they need to do something a bit unorthodox to get themselves back into this. Right now, though, just some aggression early, or some presence early into the underpass. They've decided to back off. Nothing too special out from SK just yet.
I have no idea what he said. Say it louder. Well, here's FaZe. Slowed down again, much like the anti-ecos. Fallen Bolts playing pretty far back at this B bomb site. They've got to be pretty measured as well, knowing the op is going to be on the field for Guardian. They've got to be careful of that. And once again, FaZe wants to take advantage of long A. This is a tough setup to make work. We see this setup between Stewie and Fur out towards long collapse so many times. Will FaZe actually attack it? Stewie's got to have great timing with this utility. Fur's called for it. He wants to get aggressive. There's the flash. Kerrigan had a nade in his hand. He wasn't blind, but Fur certainly can't get away. FaZe is going to hunt him down. The follow-up flashbang, though, is beautiful. Great teamwork, and they've made it work. 2 kills for Stewie and Fur combined.
It's crazy that he's able to get away with that twice. FaZe not punishing him for it. And Guardian even loses a significant chunk of his HP before eventually taking down Fur. Oh, a tough chance now for FaZe, but still a chance. coldzera holding a good line though. He'll get one. Rain can't quite look for the second just yet, and Stewie continues to spray. That's going to be the round over. SK, they've managed to hang on. Guardian, best case for him really is to save this all through, but it seems unrealistic, and indeed it is. As SK will find their first round in the second half, the first gun round as well.
That is just so well done between Stewie and Fur. Obviously, Fur hearing the sound, the audio cues as they get close to that, to the flower pots. Stewie tosses the first flash, and Fur even just fearless with red HP, goes back for more with the second flashbang. Does get a little lucky that Kerrigan had a nade out instead of his weapon, but he'll take that to the bank all day, especially when you're down 5 to 13. So one more round for SK, and now they can have the op. It's actually going to be on Stewie, it looks like.
SK going to need a bit of luck, I feel, on
probably a lot of
CT
luck.
side. Stewie with the AWP might be because he's got a bit of a forward spawn here. Can get a little bit quicker up towards Party than anyone else on his team. We'll see what he's going to be able to do with this AWP in this round. But having a look back, yeah, it works out perfectly for Fur, doesn't it? The flashbangs were incredible. Everyone on FaZe was actually hit by them.
Here's the thing, something like that, I would assume that Stewie's making that call for the second flash as well. That's just Fur trusting him and just saying why not, because you could see I think Fur wanted to drop a flash to give himself a second or two, and Stewie started calling out, no, I'm going to flash for you, I'm flashing again, and he just goes back with it. Ever aggressive Fur, and he is rewarded. Rain and Guardian take over. Would you call it dirty water?
I call it dirty water, yeah. The water is dirty.
You Aussies.
Yeah.
And yeah, Stewie's going to keep that op, so not just the spawn, maybe just because Fallen's too far away to pass it off, and here comes the hit through the smoke. They're going to wrap around the pillar. Bolts, though, he's got to find at least one. He's completely blind, and that is the bomb. Kerrigan's made a brutal mistake, and it may be a fatal one. Bolt's still alive over at Toxic Barrels, but FaZe have no entrance into the site.
Yeah, that could well be the death knell here for FaZe in this round. Nico, though, does get rid of Bolts, and there's a chance still here for FaZe, but there needs to be the next kill here onto Fallen, and it won't be, as SK, they hold strong. Just Guardian left alive in the 1v3. He'll go down to Stewie. 7 up for SK. They've avoided danger there. If they would have dropped that round, it was pretty much the map over. They were going to get reset straight away. But now they have the chance to build their money up.
I tell you what, it feels like SK did their best to kind of lose that round. I'm not sure in a 5-on-3 why they're flashing and jumping through those smokes to try and be the aggressor on FaZe when you have the bomb down in water. Either way, they do recover, they do sustain. 13-7, FaZe going to be back onto the pistol, so chances now for SK to close this gap a little bit easier. No armor, no utility. It's really only Rain with the deagle and Nico, I should say. Can't forget about Nico with his deagle.
Definitely not. Definitely something that SK can't forget either. But in this round, this should be just a nice stabilizing round for SK. Just to get them one step further towards that scoreline that FaZe have presented for them. And Stewie, oh, that's a nice shot. Let's see a little bit more of that, maybe on the gun rounds. You get a little bit of a rush of blood there, tries to go a bit too aggressive. Nico shuts him down, but all in all, not too bad of a round for SK. Kerrigan can't do any more economic damage, so I'll be happy with that.
That second shot was swift from Stewie, though. Just showing off a little bit. Yes, the eco round, so it's not the most impressive. We will see how it goes in the gun rounds, but Fallen's going to actually have the AWP this time. 13-8. FaZe back onto the rifles. They've got 5 AK-47s, missing some nades. They are Stewie being the aggressor in bathrooms, and that one is nice on to exist. Even the follow-up, the patience. Well done from Stewie. And Fallen, he's going to follow it up with his own. He's going to head down the stairs. Rain and Kerrigan heading in his direction, just the off angle. The smoke is going to clear things, though. He's looking for someone to come through it. It's going to be a fast play through door. That's a bit risky for Rain, and he's going to be held off by the smoke. I think SK felt that pressure.
Yep.
Blocks off the choke point.
If not felt, then certainly heard. There was a lot of noise being made there by FaZe, but Does cost a little bit of utility there for SK early on in the round, and Rain is going to try and utilize this smoke to have a bit of a cheeky peek into the site. He is rewarded with a kill onto Stewie and sees the player in window as well. coldzera loses a big chunk of his HP, and Bolts now just trying to trade back some of that damage. In the end, it's going to be Fallen that will get the job done for SK.
Oh, Fallen, you missed a critical shot down to 8 HP. Somehow, FaZe have not finished off these SK players. coldzera and Fallen both getting away with one there, but it was Fallen all along in the door to find the equalizer, lying in wait patiently. He really bails his team out of a tough spot. Great boost up onto these sandbags.
Look at how low all of these SK players are, though. Even despite the fact that FaZe has not managed to convert these kills, they're still in a very, very good spot right now. A slight breath of wind is going to knock over Fallen, and coldzera and Bolts, they're not going to need much more either. So FaZe are still in with a very good shot at this one. They're going to be making their way into the B side. It really hinges on Fallen getting this first frag, and he will be able to do it. Carrigan goes down, backing off as well, just buying some more time for the rotation across for SK and FaZe. They might have just lost their window, but Rain might have opened another one for them as well, finding that frag. Still a few SK players to deal with, but quite a few low players as well. And FaZe, they are getting the bomb down. SK, oh, this is a difficult retake.
Oh, he's got to get this kill on a Nico. He's not able to connect. coldzera gives him one back. Nico still challenging, still out in the open. He doesn't need to be. Play the bomb back away. And he's fortunate to get out with his life and have that opportunity. Fallen is still close up, but no one wants to be the aggressor on SK. They don't have the health for it. Fallen coming around the corner looking for Guardian, who also just backs off with a man advantage, and that should seal it for FaZe. Now Fallen has to think about fighting his way into a retreat away from the bomb, and it's not going to happen. He was committed even if no one else wasn't. FaZe are going to fight for their 14th, all due to the massive amounts of damage they did early on.
Money's a little bit weird here for SK as well. coldzera and Fallen have a bit of cash, but Boltzfer and Stewie can't afford much, and that gun lose. Oh.
That was the chance, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Losing that gun, that really puts SK in a predicament now. I guess at this point you have to force.
I think you do, simply because Fallen can have the AWP. That losing that M4 really hurts. coldzera could have dropped 2 M4s if he'd been able to save that, and he's not. So they are going to buy up. coldzera will drop some of the lesser weapons over. UMP is going to be brought out, but they really need to just talk things over of how exactly they want to approach this. They took far too much damage. Stewie not expecting that boost up on towards sandbags, so that aggression from Rain, that fast pace from him pays off. 14-8. Well, timeout's over. Everyone talked about what they want to do. They've got the idea, and we'll see what comes through. It's going to be a double up setup, actually. Stewie and Fallen, two of the most aggressive, two of the biggest playmaking uppers we've seen in CSGO history. This is going to be fun.
It might be a little bit dangerous here for FaZe as they're headed in the direction of Stewie, or at least Nico is. He's holding off the line, and I thought Guardian and Carrigan were going to go quickly towards B. In the end, though, oh, Fallen, he's only hit the leg shot further to stabilize. And he'll get 2 with the UMP, much more than you might expect out of that gun. And he's done well. That keeps SK alive for the moment. The double AWP is given away as Stewie gets a kill on a Nico. That's not the way you want to find the information if you're FaZe. But at least now they know.
Bolts is going to start investigating towards this B bomb site. He's starting to push out those short sewers towards the door. And he's found nothing. This hit is going to come fast over towards the A bomb site, but Stewie's got himself in a good position. He can actually hear these footsteps where he is. Actually, no, now he backs into the bomb site. He could have had the information that 2 were coming. He's going to play retake, and how much utility? There's only a Molotov and an HE grenade. Stewie can pick these guys off out in the open, and there goes Carrigan. He's down. Guardian's up next, and Stewie's definitely going to challenge that.
Oh, he's going to have to challenge it through the fire. Pretty important, actually, that Stewie is able to get that frag, because a retake out of 2 SMGs would not have been easy for Bolts and coldzera, but now it seems impossible for Guardian. At least he's managed to get the bomb down, but Stewie will get him down. 3 kills for Stewie in that round. Great work with the AWP. And SK, they survived through another one. FaZe have been left wanting.
FaZe not out of the woods just yet, and that double up is picked up by Bolts. He's got the other one. So SK is going to be on 9, and they're going to have a very strong buy, and all of a sudden, if this double up can actually start heating up and start coming alive for SK, they've got a great shot at coming back. They're pretty close to being within striking distance. Nice job by Fur. Teammate goes down, gets the easy kill on the assist from Fallen, and the follow-up on Do Exist is nice as well. You can see the relief on Fallen's face, especially maybe frustration from hitting the leg shot and not getting the kill. 18 kills on Stewie, 17 deaths. He's the only positive player on SK Gaming.
When you talk about stats, talk about Rain. 24 and 12 right now. He's having a blinder. We'll see if it's going to be enough here for FaZe. They're certainly still in a very good position to close this map out.
Fur's all alone here. He's the only one. Sees the shadow, gets the shot, gets the follow-up. It's target practice for Fur, and he's going to take 4. FaZe tried to go fast, and Fur shuts him down. No armor, no chances.
Nice work from Fur. Now just Nico. And his only option here really is to try and do some economic damage, get 1 or 2 guns away from SK. At least feel like you've achieved something in this round if you're FaZe. As of right now, it's been just a little bit of a farm fest for SK. They can keep all 5 guns through. This is how they start to come back into this map now. I wouldn't necessarily say that they are back into it just yet, but they're getting close.
Oh. Nico is going back just to give him the ace to be a nice gentleman, but he takes his out. A shot from Nico. Shuts down the kill streak. 14 to 10. 2 ops still out on the board for SK. I don't know if Guardian's going to have an op to challenge it. That'll be interesting. This is just very easy for Fur. Unarmored opponents just falling into his crosshair. You'll take that any day of the week.
It's what you
dream of when you fall asleep the night before. Yes, just walk into my crosshair. Guardian will have that op. So we can see the challenge coming in if he heads towards the middle of the map. Stewie's going to be here. He's going to actually jump up towards Picnic, and he might be Guardian there. This is going to be close when no Guardian gets the angle, but Stewie holds a very narrow sliver towards an off angle and just backs away. Doesn't want to mess with it whatsoever. Not a bad idea as well. The risk reward, I mean, you don't have a whole lot of those to give up at 10 to 14, so why put all your eggs in that kind of a peak against Guardian?
Yeah, exactly. SK can't afford any mistakes right now. They need to play the perfect game to close this map out. And FaZe, really all it is going to take is just one chance, and they'll take advantage of it. If Rain can pop off in another one of these rounds, that's just going to be game over for SK. Haven't seen too much of it on the T side just yet, but you have to keep an eye on him. He's been having a good game so far. So SK, they've denied at least a little bit of time here from FaZe, but now deciding to fall back into the A-bomb side. And FaZe isn't going to have to work as hard for that map control coming on forward now.
$45 seconds left, and FaZe has barely moved across the map. They're going to have to make a decision here pretty soon, and so far everyone's rotating away from B. Nico and Guardian look to be taking over long, but with 35 seconds left when they begin this trek, it's kind of got to be pretty fast pace. Fur and Stewie are going to be the initial defense here. Cold Zera, I believe, is on his way back. Fallen with the op, holding off the rotation between the bomb sites. And I think Stewie just spotted one out towards long. Here come the nades. He knows what's coming. When does he peek? First kill onto Kerrigan. That's nice. Can he build on it? Yes. A second one, and even a blind kill. The no-scope.
And this is looking fantastic right now for Stewie. He's completely shut the round down. There's no chance that FaZe are going to be able to get the bomb. And Stewie, well, he doesn't want any more kills. He doesn't want the ace. He just wants to keep the AWP alive, and that's fine. He was on 19 HP. He deserves a bit of a rest there after getting the round win for SK. And slowly and steadily, SK, they put one foot forward in front of the next, and they build themselves a very, very good second half so far. It's not enough just yet, but 3 rounds is now the difference between the two teams, and that's the closest SK's been in a while.
Both of these teams on their T sides have been almost overly cautious at times, and maybe it's FaZe doing this because they know SK has 2 ops and they just don't want to get picked off, right? You just kind of stay far back, don't take any damage, don't lose any players, and then just kind of march up with the map control and hit a bomb site and kind of see what happens from there. But as long as you're executing it a 5-on-5, I guess FaZe is happy that round. We'll see if they change up. They have had some fast-paced rounds towards each one.
See what FaZe does here as well with this kind of a cash. They can't really get a great buyout, but they are going to just buy in to get their money back in line, which is fair enough. They still have a few rounds to play with here, FaZe. But likelihood of them coming away with this round is not as high as it would ordinarily be. A little bit of a run boost there for Fallen to cross Monster. So even if FaZe were watching, which I think Carrigan might have been.
No, but look, I mean, SK, if you look at this defense, they were expecting some kind of a pretty fast play towards this B bomb site, and maybe even still expecting it. Stewie's up top, peering towards the B site. You've got coldzera and Bolts there, and you have Fallen watching Monster as well. You've got so many eyes on those two choke points, so now Stewie's going to come back. First aggressive halfway towards bathrooms, right around the entrance. And again, FaZe are going to start looking to split the site. Guardian exists this time instead of Nico out towards long. Slowly clearing out these positions.
Rain's making a bit of noise, and that's going to draw some players in, but Stewie is having a pretty nice time on the A-bomb site with that AWP. So he's going to be able to shut down Rain pretty early on in the piece. No real concerns there for SK, and Fur still sitting in that forward angle, allowing Stewie to just play a little bit more aggressive into the bathrooms here, and might be the undoing of FaZe, although Stewie misses a shot. Fur goes check. That's a great shot though from Stewie, but he can't follow it up with the Deagle. And now back to a 3v3. Guardian is putting on his AWP for a display. The grenade goes a little bit of awry for Bolts there. But bomb should be going down shortly here for FaZe. Bolts, he makes a big play though, coming out from bank, and he is making bank there for SK. 2 kills with the AK, and now Nico sitting on Optimus Prime. He's got himself the AK to work with, but in the 1v2, well, Nico might be the one you want as he gets the kill there onto Bolts. And now he just has to find one more CT, but he has no idea where Fallen is, and Fallen knows where he is. So it's 12 now for SK. A lot of damage done as far as the economic situation is concerned for SK, but still, they have the money to buy through in the next round, and FaZe, they're feeling this one slip away.
That's really tough to get the bomb set in that fashion. I'll tell you what, it's not Bolts who's making this play here, and that's a nice shot, but this one right here, that's Fallen. He's throwing 2 flashbangs up in the air to keep the planner contained on top of the truck, and poor Nico, he's left alone in a one-on-one. With the first kill, there's so much longer left in that bomb timer. He's got to sweat it out, and he's got his shoulder peek for information, try and figure out where Fallen's going to come from. And with that much time, Fallen can still afford to be patient. It's an almost unwinnable situation for Nico, which we've seen him actually win many times, but this time not to be. 3 players going to come through short sewers. Again, the run boost for Fallen. These ops really started to dictate how this game is playing out. Stewie's been phenomenal. Fallen has answered in the clutch. And again, 4-player lean for SK towards the B site.
It's a change of pace here for FaZe. Quickly into the B bomb site this time, but Fallen opens up. The kills are there though for FaZe. It's just a messy entry into the bomb site, but it's working the way of FaZe right now. Stewie, the last alive, and he can't do anything about this one. Surely he has to back off and save. There's no money well, there is money for SK, but there's not enough money to dedicate to a 3v1 retake. He's going to try and see if he can find something that might give him an opening, but in the end, he just throws away the AWP. And now SK will have to force buy into this next round.
Yeah, they really could have used that AWP. Stewie's sitting at 3,300. He's going to need to drop over to him. It's 2 AWPs they're still able to bring out. They're kind of relying on that tactic right now between Fallen and Stewie. And why not? Stewie's been phenomenal with it towards the A bomb site on some opening picks and holding off hits and in bathrooms. The 12 to 15, and the unfortunate thing about that, SK even had the read. They had the proper setup. They had 4 players there. FaZe just gets in so quickly. That's huge. Only the AWP is able to get anything done towards Monster. That's Fallen with a double kill, but that's really harsh.
Well, now it's time for SK to step up here. They're down 15-12 on their own map pick, and they've had a very good comeback in the second half. But they need to do so much more. 3 rounds in a row is what they require. They've certainly been able to string 3 in a row together throughout the earlier stages of this half. But now, with a bye like this, they need to rely on some big plays. And Stewie is giving us just that for playing the bait. Will not really be able to get anything out of that one. But Stewie, 2 for 1. So far, not a bad start to the round for SK.
First nade kind of gave up his position, but Stewie's doing the work in his place. Nico's going to take him out, baits out the shot. Well done. A little bit too quick on the trigger for Stewie. Minute left, just under 1 minute, and there's time if FaZe want to fall back towards the B bomb site. Fallen's there with the knock, Bolts and coldzera. Nice crossfire in this A bomb site. There's a smoke that's going to come out, block off coldzera, so Bolts is feeling a little isolated at the moment.
Feeling a little bit hot as well. The Molotov licking his feet. The bomb to be planted here by Carrigan, but Exist goes down. The bomb not denied though by FaZe. Carrigan needs to stand up here once more for his team, and he can't do it. SK, they put another one on the board. And FaZe, 1 round is what they got. Now SK need 2. It's really hanging in the balance right now.
That was really well done from Bolts, although I'm amazed that FaZe doesn't actually swing wide enough to clear that angle. I guess they thought the Molotov would have flushed him out a little bit deeper into the bomb site, but they really missed the detail there, and they got punished for it. Somehow SK Gaming, despite all the obstacles, some of them even self-imposed, they've still been able to overcome them and stay in this map. 13-15 in FaZe, even with the plant. It's going to be a little bit of a beat-up purchase if they want to go for it. I think I just saw them drop an AK-47. I'm not sure who's going to be picking that one up. It looks like it will be Rain. Why not? We called his name earlier, 25 and 17 at the moment. Nico as well, 25 and 13, and it's Stewie on the CT side, matching them with 25 kills.
Yeah, Stewie has been stellar with the AWP, playing in and around bathrooms. He's been a big thorn in the side of FaZe. Has been a big proponent of SK coming back into this map as well on the CT side. But he still needs to keep that train rolling on forward. And Rain looking for an opening with the AK. Not going to be given the head.
I think that it almost feels like it puts SK on notice, though. When they heard the AK-47, you can see some of the defense starts to shift into new positions. They want to get a little bit more passive, probably playing more aggressively because they didn't think there was too much of a chance of getting picked off. But that might allow some space for maybe the Deagle, the CZ to get to work. So SK Gaming's got to be careful. It's not the full buy they might expect, but a lot of time being given over to Rain to try and find this pick, and he just spotted the shoulder of coldzera. He's just praying. coldzera swing a little bit wider into the crosshair. Where's the timing on it? Oh, and he misses the opportunity, just a half second.
Well, that's such a tough one to hit, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is.
But Nico, we've seen him do it before. Still,
look how deep Stewie's playing at this A bomb site. He was all the way back at the top of the stairs, and he's the only one here. He's got a job to do, and Nico takes it away from him.
What an absolutely magical shot. The AK, or rather the AWP, now in the hands of Guardian. He's going to make good use of it. This might be the round over. SK Gaming, they need to come back into this A-bomb site, and Guardian is missing quite a few shots. That gives the opportunity over to Fallen, but he still needs more. In the 3 versus 4, FaZe have set themselves up with a fantastic post plant, but they don't have many guns to work with, so it's still doable for SK Gaming, but Fallen needs to be hitting his shots, and he doesn't. Exist will shut him down. The player advantage still resides with FaZe. It's all on coldzera. 1v2. He doesn't have the time to work with, and this is not the round you want to lose if you're SK. This is going to put FaZe through. If coldzera can't do it, and he can't, there's no time left. It's going to be FaZe up 16-13. Map 1 will go their way.
So much space given to FaZe in that last round. Way too much respect. 16-13, they're going to take map 1. SK not able to complete the comeback. Just too much of a slow start. Regardless, we're going to have the analyst desk, and we're going to have map 2 when we come back from this break.
Incendiary out.
Did I seriously get that dude in smoke?
Yo. Oh my.
Game, record, and stream without compromise. An Intel Core i7.
focused. Be uncompromising. Be the best and never hold out. Pick your event. Place your bet. No matter who you are or what you're here for, it's our passion that unites us. Betway, for the love of the game.
Rover, here. Fetch. What are you doing? Oh, Rover.
Red Bull gives you wings.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, Betway, Pay Safeguard, Logitech G, Mountain Dew League, MSI, and ESEA.
Overpass is over, and FaZe take one step into breaking the curse. Karrigan one step further, or rather one step closer to breaking that curse. They're looking to try and beat SK in a best of 3 for the very first time since Karrigan's in-game leadership on that FaZe jersey. And Overpass was quite the game. We're going to talk about it now with Chad Birchall and Jacob Vinegar. It's not easy to pronounce, but I'll do my very best. Thank you very much. But with some of the things we outlined here, you know, we watched that fantastic video, which is basically who's one of the hardest hitters in Counter-Strike, and a lot of Nico came up, and well, Nico certainly came up in this game, a spectacular well over 100 ADR, and one of the many cogs in the FaZe machine that brought it over the line.
Yeah, his performance is more based on a consistent one, right? You saw in the last round that big Deagle kill to open up the A bomb site, but he wasn't the reason that FaZe won this game. Sure, he contributed throughout, but there's 2 big rounds that stand out. Obviously, the Karrigan pistol round.
Yeah.
Without that, they could have, lost the first 3. It could have been a really tough streak, and they're a team that was going to force buy. So going to the first gun round, they could have also been hamstrung. So Karrigan bailed them out there, and then Rain on the mix buy late in the first half, able to get that 3K as they tried to retake that backyard control. That was huge. That was a point that the game could have gone 8-7, but they're able to get the 10-5 from that. If it was an 8-7, they can't rest on the laurels of winning pistol and just having to convert 1 or 2 gun rounds. So those 2 hugely pivotal rounds for me in that game.
That pistol round, I mean, I saw a fantastic tweet from Dupree Jacobs, just like, that could not be, that's the worst way to start a best of 3 for SK.
It is definitely the worst way to start a best of 3. You want to go in, you want to have confidence, you want to feel the game straight away, and when you go in and have a fine start, which there was until that 1 of 4 happens, it's just like, it's a momentum killer. You can see he was even falling, missing a few shots in there he should have had it, and they should have won it. But as Jeb was saying, it was just a great start overall for FaZe. They got that first round a little bit lucky, well played by Karrigan, and after that it was in control, I felt. And even to attest to that one, the first SK round in the entire game was off the back of a 1 versus 2 versus Fer, where he probably shouldn't have won that either, and Fallen did some sick no-scope as well. So I always felt SK won their back heels in this game, and it was just testified by all the rounds we saw FaZe win.
Well, from those 5 rounds they won, 2 of them was when they actually broke the economy there of FaZe, right? So it was low buys or ecos coming out, so that contributed to the 5 that they were able to pick up in the first half. But look, Karrigan is a really good player, but if you lose a 1v4 on the pistol round that should be a lockdown, that's a mental thing. It's like, man, I just lost to Karrigan, right? If you lost to Nico, it's be like, okay, Nico, he can do this.
He does those sometimes.
You don't expect Karrigan to be able to do that, and that mentally is just such a sad way to start the game.
But talking of mentally, I thought the tides were changing towards the end of that game, Jacob. I mean, I saw the SK round starting to clock up, a couple of mistakes being made here and there. Bolts winning some fantastic plays over towards the B bomb site, or the A bomb site, excuse me. And I was starting to see that curse being kind of demonstrated to us.
I mean, it was the resilience from SK that impressed me the most in this game. It was not pretty at any means. I feel it was on the backs of Stewie 2K also picking up that AVP. It finally, got to show why he's in this team and what he contributes with. He's such a versatile player. He can both play the rifle, he can play the AVP, and you saw in this game how impactful he can be if he gets the chance and gets the room to work with. So it was off the back of him, but again, I felt the entire game it was just SK playing on the back heels. It felt like FaZe were in somewhat of a control until it got close, and then you see Nico showing up with a 1 dig, and all of a sudden the game is over.
It seems weird to say that the best AWPer in the server when you did have Guardian and Fallen was that of Stewie, right? He was hitting so many shots, and he had no issues hitting those re-peaks or going for those flicks. But something that I want to note is that the T-sides of both teams was pretty shallow. They both tried the Astralis execute. The FaZe guys tried it twice. They worked the second time, so they can probably thank Glaive for that one, because that was a very instrumental round in the later phases of that game.
Absolutely, it was. And yes, Stewie, what I loved about that, Stewie, one of them ones where he was holding towards the bomb site. He got 3, and then those shots long, and I saw him. He pulled the flashbang out. He got to the angle. He was about to do the underarm, and then he kind of thought better of it. It was like, okay, no, I should probably be over.
Play the percentages, man.
Exactly.
Play the percentages.
Yeah. Funny thing is, the round, I think it was 2 rounds before, he actually did that in the anti-eco round where he got the 3 kills in the toilet area, and then he jumped out, going for the 4th, and he just instantly shut down. So I think he learned a little bit from that one.
Okay,
maybe.
Like,
this time I'm going to fall back, I'm going to play it safe, and Fallen is not going to yell at me.
Once burned, twice shy, and not shy at all. We've managed to find some fans willing to chat to Stunner. Quite an intimidating man, so good on them. Let's see if we can hear that from that diverse crowd.
Hey guys, how's it going? Look, I'm down here on the tournament floor, as you could have already guessed. Now, I've gone to great lengths to find the 2 biggest fans from both SK and FaZe Clan. I've got Lacey on my right for SK, and I've got Sonya on my left for the FaZe Clan. Now, I've given them an interesting task, and that is to defend why their team's going to win. So, who wants to start? I think,
But, okay.
It's a legal thing. So.
Okay. It's illegal. Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Sonia, and I think FaZe is going to win because they have the world's best player, FaZe Rain. Last tournament, they were the underdogs, and everyone thought they were going to lose, but they showed everyone that they're the best player, or the best team in the world. So, yeah, they're definitely going to win.
Okay. Not bad. We'll determine by vote here in a second. Now, Lacey, coming in hot with the SK Gaming banter. Let's hear it.
Right. Well, first of all.
Hey. Shh.
Listen, listen, we're waiting on the famous FaZe choke to happen, all right now. As you guys saw, SK just showed up, so they're warmed up. You saw Stewie. You guys just saw the comeback.
What?
Lucky game.
Okay, well, I suppose those things happen. How about we do it this way? In the audience, if you think FaZe Clan's gonna win, let's hear some noise. Okay, bring it back down. What about a little bit of SK gaming? I don't know, Alex. I don't know, man. It's going to be a tough one. You guys go ahead and tell you who you think won.
Oh, man, that was pretty close to a 50-50. I do like that we've got some fans still standing by the SK. In fact, pretty close to a divided crowd, which is always makes for the very best games. Yes, so completely split. SK, people expecting that comeback, expecting that FaZe choke chat.
It's definitely going to be a close match on Mirage, right? The fact of the matter is both these teams are very proficient at it at this stage, you know. So when you look at it, the defining details are those rounds that we saw, you know. Obviously, Nico opening up with a huge deagle shot. We're going to have if Carrigan clutches come out, this is the thing. It's just going to be the little bits and pieces of these matches, the individuals stepping up, because the fundamentals are there for both teams. There's no question mark about that.
But then shouldn't there be an argument that if it is, as you say, it's going to come down to the fine margins? That's actually a statement about how quickly SK are starting to find their footing. They're playing against a FaZe that just won Sydney. They're still integrating Stewie, still messing up their calls, still trying to find exactly where they want to play. They're swapping CT positions still at this point in time. The fact that we're saying, you know, that it's close, the crowd thinks it can go either way, that's a testament to SK then, if anything.
It gives them to the testament that obviously they're learning from every single time they play. It's still so new for them. It's still so new for coldzera to be the in-game leader and for Fallen to be this hardcore support player that he apparently now is. They're learning from every single game, and it goes into the games. And we're probably going to see that on Mirage as well. I even saw on Overpass today there was some change up in how to play Fallen. We're playing the AVP in the beginning of the CT half, which he didn't do in the first game in this tournament on Overpass. So they're still learning every single time, adapting, and that's what SK is known for, constantly being able to give some sort of resilience, besides them being probably in a fairly bad state right now overall.
I think the thing to note here is, you know, from behind the desk, we can be relatively critical of SK with the change because we expect them to be a top 3 team in the world.
Oh, yeah.
When they drop and fall off, you know, a cliff, we go, oh, okay, what's going on here? These are the question marks. But without a doubt, these are some of the best players in the world. Fur, coldzera, Fallen are all legendary names, right? These guys here are just been dominating Counter-Strike and have built a legacy. This is why I'm saying it's going to be a close matchup. I'm still hedging my bets towards FaZe because I think they look like a more well-rounded unit at this point in time. But SK are possible of bringing anything.
Okay, and when we talk about Mirage in particular, now this is a map, as you said, we've seen an awful lot of. FaZe actually play this map an awful lot, and I know our analysts have often been impressed by what it is that FaZe do. Is this the map where you consider them to have the most strategy, kind of to go to fallback strategies? A lot of people suggested that this is where there is a bit more to them, Jacob.
Yeah, sort of. It's sort of like the Danish way of playing Mirage, I would say. Kerrigan is
the Danish way.
The Danish way of playing Mirage. It's sort of like they have a lot of set goes, a lot of fast-paced set goes, so where every single player knows what to do in exact moments, but it's not necessarily too deep strategical-wise. It's just basic Counter-Strike. But when you have basic Counter-Strike that's working with players like Nico, Rain, Guardian for that matter, you know, it's going to look like it's great and it's going to look like it's innovative. In reality, it's not. It's just them being so good at doing the basics that it looks so easy on them, and it makes their opponents look a little bit silly sometimes.
And it's something you were talking about before, Chad, actually referring to Astralis, but when you do the basics perfectly, that's pretty much all you need, all right? When it's all flowing, everyone knows exactly what they're doing, and it all adds up to a rather beautiful product.
Yeah, look, when you have the chemistry and the basics coming together, the trade frags, the communications on point, it makes you have a lot more clarity in the server. You're not panicking. But the reason that these guys here have such close matches is because it is chaotic situations that unfold time and time again. Now, with Mirage, obviously, I think we've seen in the past teams exploit Carrigan at the B bomb site. They want to try and put pressure on him on that CT side, and that's probably a common theme and something that SK will look towards when they do get to their T half. We do need to point out that the positions have been changed for SK on their CT side, right? So we've moved Stewie over to connector. Obviously, he's the new player. Taco used to be the B anchor. They've got someone else doing those duties right now. Okay, so towards Catwalk is now where Fur is. Now, Fur, we always knew he was the connector player, right? Playing hugely aggressive towards middle. Yeah. He can still do that from Catwalk. It's just a little bit more neutered. He has to hold back a little bit, which is potentially a good thing. And then coldzera now is the A anchor. That's a big change from him.
Right, and you were enjoying that. You were saying that you're already seeing a typical coldzera approach where he's already finding new and inspiring ways to approach that same site.
Yeah, and I think that that's exciting considering we're going to have Rain as the A anchor for that of FaZe and coldzera for SK, and both of these guys are very cerebral in their approach to holding these positions. It's not just let's get stuck in and go for multi-frags and smokes. They play the percentages very well, and that's why they can dominate when they play those areas of the map.
So much on the line for SK Gaming at this point in time. This is their last chance saloon if they want the Intel Grand Slam. Only 2 events left from the 10 from when they first picked up their first. Of course, you have to win 4 of the 10 sequential events. They're running out of chances. So not only that, of course, their life in the tournament, a big prize pool, 750,000, so many hours put into this Pro League just to qualify. Jacob, my question is, does their story end here?
I'm afraid it does. I think SK is going to give us another great match. They're going to show us some resilience, but I think they're going to be playing from their back heels once again. Okay. It is just, to me, too soon for them. I think there's too many changes going on within the lineup. coldzera being the in-game leader, we talked about it. Fallen now being this support player, and Stewie 2K playing Connect instead of Fer. So many factors playing into this one. I think FaZe is going to take it, but it should be a close one.
Should be a close one. They're trying to give SK time. They say they need time. Well, right now, it's time to find out. FaZe SK. Our second map, our second quarterfinal. Dallas, you have your casters. It's Jason and Jordan.
I think everybody wants a third map, and SK is going to have to deliver here on Mirage in order to get it. FaZe is looking strong, especially to start on Overpass. That was a tough hole to climb out of for SK, but they've got a fresh opportunity here.
Yeah, definitely. You have to think what would have happened had a couple of those earlier rounds gone the way of SK Gaming. Maybe we would have seen them come away with the victory in the end. But let's see what they can do here on Mirage as FaZe make their way into the B site. Fer trying to hold off as best as he can, but only able to get one, and the bomb is going to go down fairly quickly for FaZe Clan. SK looking for the retake, all coming from the exact same angle. And Exist, one of the key members here for FaZe in this defense, gets the first frag, is immediately traded out. That's good work from SK, but they need more. And there's still plenty of players on the FaZe Clan available here on the B-bomb site that they need to dispatch of. Right now, SK, they're just not being given anything. Nico being a bit of a pest in the end. Rain will be the one to close out the kill on a coldzera, and inevitably, Fallen has to go down as well. FaZe coming away with another pistol.
Yeah, nice. I mean, nothing fancy about that one. That's now, what, 3 B rushes we've had in this series so far. Just rushes towards the B bomb site from each offensive side.
3 pistols for FaZe as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. They did win both on Overpass.
And if you remember yesterday against Na'Vi, they didn't win a single one. So they've worked on that.
A new and improved FaZe Clan overnight is what you're saying?
Yeah, beautiful.
And another good start for them. This round is going to get restarted pretty quick. One player's lost sound, so we're going to have a little bit of a technical delay. Nothing too crazy, though. But yeah, this is now, it becomes that story of SK has to avoid, obviously you can't go down 0-7, right? And expect to be able to win a map like that. On top of that, SK is going to have to find a way. That 4th round better be damn strong from them, because they have to be very careful with their money. You can get into that very easily in the CT side, that reset economy where you're just always on the verge of being able to buy and then just get it all taken away from you. So they're going to have a pretty tough task come the 4th round.
Yeah, definitely. But for SK, if they can get that ball rolling, if they can potentially get that AWP in the hands of Stewie, we saw the damage that he was able to do on Overpass.
Yes.
So it's something that FaZe are going to need to try and avoid, or at least deny from SK. It's definitely possible.
I think as well, I mean, one of the big things they talked a lot about some of the shifting positions that this SK defense has taken, with Fer kind of going from connector over to catwalk and Stewie and connector. Both of those players love being aggressive in middle, and I think we're going to see that pretty heavily, especially if any money gets built up. If they feel like they can afford to take the risk, they're going to go for it. Double scout set up here on Mirage for the defense. Fallen and Fer have those. One in window room. Fallen is going to be moving towards top connector. There's actually going to be a defense of 3 players here, but a lot of utility going to be used, and an early tag by the scout. That's a good start.
Yeah, fairly standard fare to see that double scout out on Mirage nowadays. And that's how you want to start off the round if you're SK. They have traded a little bit of damage, but softening up some of those targets is always good news for the CT side. And coldzera's in a very important position. Sitting up in that palace, he can exert a lot of pressure. What he needs to try and do is survive, but the rest of his teammates, they also need to survive. And if they don't, he's not really going to be too impactful from that position. So, all in all, FaZe have done what they needed to do. Get into that A-bomb site, plant the bomb, and dispatch of all the defenders. And just coldzera sitting here going, well, I had a good spot, but now I'm on my own.
He goes from having a very dangerous flank, a second front onto that bomb site that really cordons FaZe into watching multiple different angles at a large degree that could make it easier for the retake. But all of his teammates die, so he goes from a pretty cool position all of a sudden to one where he's just got to save this Galil, and Guardian's already got him trapped in, and he can't win that fight.
Yeah, Guardian hurt him there. So, kill on the Mac 10. Guardian's happy with that. 2 rounds up on the board. FaZe Clan are happy with that, and SK, This needs to be an eco for them. So a lot of SMGs out there for FaZe right now. A lot of money to be built up on that T side.
Going to be some soft targets, and that's going to be a big obstacle for SK early on in this half. Even Guardian is passing that Galil over, but he's not investing, just keeping the USP, knowing they're going to be unarmored, and he's willing to take that challenge with the armor of his own. So nades out towards mid, smoke in towards the window where Fallen is, just spamming the USP uselessly. There's going to be Exist taken down, actually. Those are some nice shots by Stewie, and that's an early kill onto one of those SMGs to deny the bonus. And now he's got a new angle. He's going to push towards B, and he can fall back if he chooses to. Going to delay a little bit longer with the Molotov, and even Guardian almost losing that fight. Now it kind of gets scary with one of your players on FaZe not having a rifle.
Yeah, that was a little bit risky from Guardian. In fact, he does actually get punished for it. Fallen's gotten the kill, but the rest of the FaZe are making their way toward A. Rain watching for the flank, or a rotation out from SK Gaming. But still we need to see some entries hit here by FaZe, and coldzera, he's shut down Carrigan. Maybe there's a story yet to tell in this round for SK. They've got the player advantage. They have a UMP in the hands of Stewie, but Nico and Rain are starting to bring things back to equilibrium. They find a few more kills. Damage done over onto Rain. He needs to hit that shot, and he does. Fallen goes down. It's on Stewie. It's still doable, but he doesn't have any armor, and that's a big deficit with a UMP. He gets the first shot across, but Rain is quickly out for the trade. A lot of damage done, though, by SK, and some worrying signs, at least for FaZe.
I had some very nice shots. Those USPs, a very dangerous round for FaZe. Everything taken from them except for the one, and Stewie even could have won that round. Kind of ran out of bullets to play with once he gets that first kill. Nico's just out in the open going for the challenge. 3-0, the op is out in Guardian, and because of the investment in that second round from SK, once again, it's only an M4 for Fallen or Stewie or whoever's going to end up using the AWP for them on this map. Fallen's going to be anchoring this A bomb site. coldzera playing back towards CT spawn, and Stewie's going to be in the window.
FaZe making their way, for the moment at least, toward the B bomb site. Some presence in mid, potentially here from Carrigan in just a second. He does lurk his way up behind that smoke. Whether he'll continue or not, we'll have to find out, but it seems as though he should. FaZe are making their entry into the B bomb site, and the entry is not clean. Fer gets a 1-for-1, but Bolts is really the problem right now for FaZe. They need to dispatch of him, and they just haven't been able to do it. He's still hanging around in the van and finding those openings, finding the angles. More kills go the way of FaZe, though, and it's just backwards and forwards right now, but FaZe, courtesy of Nico, have the advantage. Bomb will go down here if coldzera doesn't deny it, but he should be able to. And again, we're just going backwards and forwards, and now it's into a 1v1. Guardian hasn't had an impact on this round, but could certainly have a big one. As coldzera now in that 1v1 will find the angle, and woof, didn't quite get the perfect spray down, but it's good enough.
What a clutch from coldzera. That is such smart play. Actually is helped out by Nico. That smoke allows coldzera to cross over into the bomb site, get that frag, and obviously the knowledge of where the next player comes from out of market after his teammate had fallen. And I gotta say as well, props to Bolts. A really tough situation for him to be in, and for him to have survived that long over towards Van was very important. Even gets a couple kills out of it, or at least an assist for Fer, and one kill on an additional player at that B bomb site. Very tense round for him. FaZe trying to abuse the low utility at that B bomb site. No Molotov to slow down that hit. Now they're going to do the same thing over towards A. Standard execute with Carrigan playing in mid.
Yeah, this is scary for SK as well. Their money's pretty low. They lost a lot of guns in the last round, so a full reinvestment from them. If they lose this round, they're back onto an eco. Exist opening things up for SK, but Stewie is still here, holding strong on the A bomb site. Not for too long, though, as he's immediately traded out, and Exist with 2 kills on the entry. It is enough for FaZe to get the bomb down on the A site. SK now, they have to look for the retake, but there's a wrap coming around from the back. Carrigan could be a big thorn in the side of SK.
I don't think they're going to go for this. I think they're going to end up backing off, especially without a kill anytime soon. They don't have a kit. They do have 1 smoke onto Fer. But if you save the weapon, you can challenge in the next round. You can still buy, but Fallen is sticking around. He wants to find that kill that might allow them to press forward, but there's Carrigan. And now he has to back away, but he's overcommitted. He's too far in. That's the op. And coldzera, certainly, you can see he wants to stick around. He wants to get that AWP for the next round. A weapon that can turn the tides. Nico trying to deny it is going to go hunting. Not going to win. Still remains to be seen. He's circled from behind, and coldzera can't control the spray well enough. Exist takes him down, and that's a 4th round for FaZe, and this is that economic reset that we know too well. But I mentioned that SK had to be wary of, and the nightmare has struck.
Yep. And we might be headed in the same direction as what we were on Overpass, which is to say a great start for FaZe. FaZe. It's not going to be as good as they got up to a 7-0 on Overpass, but SK's already found that single round. Still, it's looking good right now for FaZe on their own map pick. And the pistols and armor out for SK. It's all they've got to hold on into this round. They'll need to take an eco after this one as well. So, really tough times ahead for SK, at least for the next couple of rounds.
Nothing has been easy for them in these first two maps. I mean, they had a couple miraculous rounds with pistols and that they were able to win on Overpass. And if you think now, even the one round they win is a 1 versus 3 for coldzera, not easy for him to win. And now, obviously, facing a double reset, having to invest in Deagles and CZ to try and get back on the board. How do you pull this one off? Fallen perhaps being aggressive towards A-Ramp could be a solution. If he's able to get a kill and fall back and have the information, coldzera can rotate over. Furkan as well, and Kerrigan is just playing a lurking role. He is going to be a real big thorn once this hit comes in and how he chooses to strike from the side.
Fallen's already got some information there, though, pushing into A main. Stewie is holding quite aggressively in Palace, so SK know, roughly speaking, what's going on right now, in that it is an A hit from FaZe Clan. Some utility down late from SK. That'll deny some time, buy themselves a little bit more room to work with.
It's going to exhaust the smokes. That's a nice shot from coldzera. It's going to exhaust the smokes that cut them off, so when Fur rotates, there's no cover for FaZe. They just have to straight up win. Now they have the AK, still an advantage, but it's going to be tough.
Well, they have the player disadvantage now as well, and SK, they can certainly do this one. They've got all the tools they need, but so too do FaZe as they enter their bomb site very cleanly indeed. Just Fur left there really to cause a problem for them, but that's quickly shut down by Guardian. And now Boltz finds himself alone. It really seemed like SK was setting up for a very, very good round there, and potentially even a bit of a cheeky one, but in the end, the aim of FaZe is just too strong.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're SK in a round like this, all you can say is, you gave yourself a chance. You had a nice rotation. You had 3 players there on the initial defense. You needed 1 or 2 kills when that hit came in. coldzera did find Kerrigan, so it was a 1-front battle, but the AKs can just be too strong. And obviously, you want to talk about SK perhaps warming up halfway through that first map. Well, FaZe has been here all along. They haven't gone away. Hitting some blinders as they enter in, and Bolt's just going to try and keep the CZ in his hands. Has full armor as well, so no reason to try and reinvest into that, but look at how ruthless Guardian's being. He's running up Catwalk. He wants to take this away, he wants to take it all out.
Doesn't look like he's quite going to be able to, though. So, SK, well, it's going to be an eco out from them here again. Really only going to be seeing the armor out for Boltz, of course, saving it through in the last. That's now time for FaZe to start thinking about building up that T-side economy. It's, despite the fact that they're up 5-1, not so amazing just yet. But FaZe off to a good lead. Now they can really start to put the boot in SK. They already know that they've got that one map advantage, and with such a big advantage in the second map as well, it really starts to put a lot of pressure here on SK.
SK, exactly right, a lot of pressure. It's going to be probably about, what, it's going to be the 8th round, the next round, where FaZe will have to even fight with, or have to even worry about nades. SK hasn't been able to afford anything. Nico reading the map very well, finding Stewie through the box. Boltz hasn't gotten involved, and he's the only one with armor and an upgraded pistol, so he's got his chance here, but he's essentially in a 1-on-2, and Kerrigan at long range does go down. But the bomb site is lost. So it will be 6-1. And SK, they've got to start building into this game. They've got to win a round and then string them together. They need to start building money behind them.
Yep, just the one gun lost there for FaZe. All in all, no real harm done. But SK, they need to come back now into this half. Similar to what we saw on the first half of Overpass.
There's still no AWP, there's no Molotovs, there's only smokes that can slow things down. We've seen FaZe in the 2 gun rounds they've really had were just relatively, not rushes, but they were pretty fast plays, pretty assertive hits. And they were early in the round, so if you're SK, you want the Molotovs, you want the flashbangs to be able to stop that. They at least have the flashes, but Guardian's going to go for a pick.
Yep, and this is how obnoxious it is really playing on that CT side at times. When you can't get that economy rolling, it really just feels as though you can never get your way into that first half until 10 or 11 rounds are gone and you're down some sort of awful deficit. And then you finally have a round where you get all the utility out. But we're still waiting for that from SK. It's not to say that they can't win this round, but FaZe have definitely been looking good so far on Mirage. And SK, another challenge presents itself here. Stewie is able to get a lot of damage across, but he needs to be careful in this position. That Molotov not going to do anything. Smoke does keep Stewie alive.
Just barely, 17 HP. Nico's boosted up as well, looking for the response on Catwalk. It's there, but it's currently covered by a smoke now. First Red's getting close up. He's being tagged from top mid, down to 74. So the battle for mid control has been won by FaZe. And now they can start to split towards the B side. You can see Kerrigan with the bomb in those B halls. Nico's going to get boosted up. He can backstab. Rain is going to be heading up Catwalk as well under the cover of smoke. This is such a deadly round for FaZe. They've got themselves in very good positions, but Bolts is going to win the initial exchange.
Yeah, a little bit cheeky there from Bolts, and that's exactly what SK needs, but FaZe have decided they want nothing to do with the B bomb site, making their way over to A, and Nico, he will get rid of Fallen, but Fallen's done a good enough job there for SK, keeps them in the round. It's a 2 versus 4. The bomb, I'm not sure if it's going to be able to go down here for FaZe, but it looks like it will. Just in time, but Nico now in a 1 versus 4. The bomb somewhat planted for him, but his position is known. So SK, they shouldn't be leaving this one to any chance. They need a dispatch of Nico. Slowly but surely, Nico tries to find the openings, tries to find those 1v1s, and that's what he needs to be doing right now. Putting a lot of pressure on FaZe. He knows there's a player behind him, but if he gets rid of the player on the side, he might have just done enough. The time is running out. Nico!
How is he doing this?
Oh my goodness! A 4v1 for Nico, and SK, they've thrown around the way.
I have never seen SK that scared to take a fight in my life, and Nico plays that perfectly. Tapping away, conserving ammunition, peering behind him just enough to freeze Fur on Catwalk. And Fur, for as much as we talk about his aggression, he never pushed forward to take that fight. He never pushed forward to eliminate Nico.
Could almost sense that he was going to get that, couldn't you?
You could feel, I mean, especially when you saw the way that SK was playing it, that was mismanaged in that situation, but still, I mean, brilliance from Nico. Still not easy to win that despite all of that. Beautiful shots. And eventually, once he finds where all 3 players of SK are going to be coming from, you just know there's going to be something epic happening, and Nico does it again.
Again and again and again. And that puts SK back into an eco. So, Nico forcing the eco, and FaZe, they're feeling really, really good after that one. That might just be the straw that breaks the camel's back here for SK. They've at least been trying to contest here on Mirage, but losing around like that, FaZe are going to have the blood flowing. They're going to be feeling it now. They know that semi-final is really 30 minutes away.
Well, dire times for SK. FaZe again with mid control. They can pretty much control the map, and coming through, that's a rare miss shot from Guardian, and he does pull out the pistol and make that work. There goes Stewie. Slowly SK being picked apart in this round. Bolt's going to be pushing up from the B bomb site, but it just seems like a helpless situation. Guns being thrown away now by FaZe just to ensure that SK can't get anything into the next round. A nice shot from Coldzera. Gonna need plenty more of those, though, as this half continues.
FaZe making their way over to the A bomb site. And SK, well, they've gotten rid of a couple of guns here for FaZe. Doesn't seem that FaZe are going to be too perturbed about the going-ons of the round. Still a lot of cash in those T-side coffers. SK, it seems unlikely they're going to be able to do much more here. Coldzera forced away by that Molotov. The bomb's crossed into the site now, so really that little moment of danger has been passed.
Guardian's been missing a couple shots with that AWP, so I guess if you're SK at this point and you're trying to cling to any kind of piece of hope about coming back into this, at least you're not dealing with the Guardian op that just doesn't miss anything. That's just unstoppable. There, he gets one at the end. Bolts goes down. But really, at this point, I mean, even me just saying that, I can tell I'm grasping for straws on behalf of SK.
Yeah.
This is a timeout that is sorely needed, their first, and it comes 9 rounds into the game, down 1-8. And that was one of the things we said. You can't start the second map off so slow the way you did on Overpass. And it's almost the same thing. It was 7-0 on Overpass. Now it's 8-1 here on Mirage, in a game where if you lose, you're eliminated.
Yeah, well, I mean, while it was a good comeback from SK, you sort of always think, you know, like what would have happened had they got 1 or 2 more rounds in that first half. could they have ended up coming away with a map victory? Maybe we get a similar scenario here where SK, they start off so poorly in the second half, they might just come back and again fall short just at the final little bit of a hurdle.
Yep.
They'll be thinking what more we could have done in the first half.
Well,
make our life easier.
We've got that double up setup out for SK now, and this was kind of the recipe, the formula for their defense on overpass, and it was the one that clawed them back into the game and made it a close affair at a 13-16 loss. We'll see if it works again. Fur has one of them, Fallen the other. That'll be Guardian's job to try and pin them down. Another A-hit coming in. There's the first shot from Fallen. It's missed, and now Guardian has the angle. Fallen's 23 HP. He can't really get in a fight. He's just going to find weird angles to go for it, and he misses everything. Stewie with one kill coming through the smoke, trying to save his teammates, trying to keep space between them, and it just can't happen. The defense collapses so quick.
You got to save now if you're SK. They don't have a chance of retaking this bomb site 4 versus 2, but FaZe, they've got the money to chase down these 2 guns if they want to.
That's the same kind of style that FaZe has been running throughout this whole half, and then they're just saying, well, if you can't stop us, they're just easy hits towards the bomb sites. A couple rounds they've gone for mid control, but I mean, they haven't really been punished by anything from SK, so if they're just not going to be able to stop.
I don't think anyone else from FaZe is going to get close to SK. This still isn't really going to secure anything amazing for SK. Sure, they can get a buy through here, but it's still going to be lacking on utility.
That's been the story of this half of this defense for SK Gaming is, yeah, they can buy right on the edge of it. And at this point, it's hard to tell them to save, right? Like, you almost feel like they just have to buy. They need more rounds on the board. Going to be missing still those Molotovs, those kits, the smokes. And it's not even out of their own possibility. Maybe you just take another time out if you're SK.
Maybe. But even then, past that, what do you do? Right now, it just feels like they can't do anything. Well, although we haven't seen too much aggression out from SK on the CT side, though admittedly, I'm not sure that you'd want to be doing it.
They haven't had the nades for it. They haven't had any flashbangs to allow that. And here's Bolts. He's going to have a chance to challenge Guardian. I don't think he necessarily wants to, and that's why not. You are pinned back against the wall, my friend. And Guardian, he's going to push forward as soon as this Molotov clears. He takes the next fight. I just mentioned he was missing some shots. No longer. And Fur is still alive on Catwalk, and Guardian's going to hunt him down as well, missing the initial. Bomb is on the ground, and there's Nico to step forward with the AK-47. But Guardian has opened up the round, and SK has to go for this.
Yeah, it's too late now in the half to be letting these kind of chances go begging. But SK, this isn't even really a chance. I wouldn't even call it a half chance. In a 3v2, the way that FaZe have been playing so far, it's a difficult prospect for them. But Stewie now in a 1 versus 2. Exist able to trade out Cold Zero. That's good enough for FaZe, and the positioning here from Nico is really problematic, but Stewie spots him out, a great headshot, and now into a 1v1. He knows where Exist is, but Exist hits the shot, and FaZe put it through to 10. Stewie, he almost had it. It felt like he was going to get the job done, but just not enough there for SK.
Yeah, pretty nasty off angle from Exist, and Stewie had to have known he was low. So he had a nade and a Molotov in his kit that he could have chosen to use, but I think the general consensus is in 1 versus 1, you always keep the gun out. But this is brilliance from Guardian, coming alive here, picking off Fallen. I think Fallen is obvious. You can see where his crosshair was placed. It's placed there for the guy who's going to jump or run across that window, and Guardian just stops short.
Stewie's not happy with that last round either, and I think that's a fair assessment of how the situation is for SK right now. This is just falling to bits. Rain able to get 2 of the easiest frags you've ever seen in mid there. It almost looks like it's an eco round for SK, but they've got full guns. And then FaZe, 3 versus 5. They're up 10-1. Absolutely stomping all over SK right now.
Well, there's the mid-aggression we were wondering about. It didn't pan out too well. Cold Zera's got to hold on. He's got to FAMAS back at the ticket booth, and he's about to have so many rifles and AWP, so many nades and Molotovs sent his way. Stewie's in connector with the op. No armor for him, and I think he's going to feel pressured, if I know Stewie, to come through this smoke and try and make a play at some point, biding his time, looking for the opportunity. At the moment, there's a gap in the smoke. He wants to pick off one, but it's not happening. That kill from Cold Zera is going to help in the nades. Rings right through the smoke, and Stewie never even got to take a shot, and Exist is just building upon it. So is Rain.
Yeah, great work from FaZe into that A-bomb site. The utility usage was perfect. Saw the smokes go down, but then the Molotovs to follow up. That denied any kind of that aggressive peek through the smoke that you were talking about for Stewie. He just didn't have the opportunity. FaZe put themselves up to 11. SK again, their money is just devastated. We'll see the force buy through by the looks of things, or at least a partial investment so that they can buy next round. But I don't know. It feels like too little too late right now. 11 already up for FaZe. They've just done so much already on the T side.
This is starting to look like, you know, like the boxer that's knocked out, but he's still standing up. Like, this is just SK just teetering, not able to get pushed over. Seems like their heart has kind of been shattered in this match. Fallen's pushed up close towards A ramp. There's a stack towards, which I think Stewie might be an underpass. And FaZe is looking for anything sneaky. They're looking for any kind of creativity to come out of SK and put a stop to it before it can really begin. Kerrigan on the verge of engaging Fallen over towards the A ramp. Fallen, I don't think is going to push forward. I think he wants coldzera to get close up to be able to have some kind of a crossfire, but it's not happening. There's the pick. A little bit of utility thrown towards A, and it lures Fur into the open, who's picked off by Guardian, and now pretty much free reign of the map. Unless coldzera has more to say.
I'm not so sure. He's being challenged by Rain. If there wasn't already a player in that A bomb site, coldzera dropping the bomb has some more implications, but FaZe are quite easily able to take control of that. That's a great flick, though, from Guardian. And he's really standing up here on Mirage. 13-6 now. Admittedly, the going has been pretty easy for FaZe, but at least we're seeing some good shots out from him. Bomb's down now for FaZe. Admittedly, SK have done some damage in this round, but again, it just falls on a single player against two. And Bolts opens up against Rain. Now there's a chance, but he doesn't know that Nico is coming around from the back. Where is the bomb planted? I'm not so sure this is going to be too easy for Nico. If Bolts would have stuck that, he would have won the round. But again, now Nico has been given the time, and he can lurk up through the connector, spotting out Bolts. The round, it feels, is surely over as that Molotov goes in onto the bomb. And Nico knows that there's nothing the Bolts can do. Round will go the way of FaZe. We're at 12-1 now. And this might be cherry on top.
And just our extra insult, he reads exactly where Bolts is going to be heading to. It's an easy kill in that window. This has been brutal. SK won the 4th round of this half and have just been demolished ever since then.
Yeah.
coldzera's 12-12. The next closest is Bolts on 7. But if you go over to the FaZe side of things, it's Nico with 15, and then he's got Rain, Guardian, and Exist on 13. So team effort out of FaZe that's looking so solid. Finally, this might be the best buy we've seen out of SK this whole half.
Well, that's what I was talking about, where eventually you are going to get a decent buy through, but it's just going to be far too little too late. They've got the AWP now in the hands of Fallen, which they have had a little bit, but there hasn't been the backing up utility behind it. Now they have that utility, but even if SK were to win this round, it might only net them a couple more. In the end, a 1-for-1 trade, that's still favorable for FaZe. Fur here, the timing's so poor to pull the grenade out, and Kerrigan punishes him for it. It's all onto Bolts now. In what is essentially a 1 versus 3, the players trying to enter the B site. The bomb's still hanging around in T-spawn right now for FaZe, but they're just doing damage across the map. They don't care. Look at where Guardian is.
Well, look where Nico is. He's got the bomb now in T-spawn. Fallen kind of understands this is a possibility, but if you're SK and you hear this bomb get planted, you're likely going to think it's B. Fallen's starting to cheat in that direction. Stewie's still around. I think he's going to have to start investigating to get some information, and Guardian going to be on catwalk. It's not going to be planted for Guardian, so he does need to make it over towards A, but exactly, look at these, look at the mini-map. SK still thinks it's at the B bomb site. They're completely fooled. And now slowly they're starting to get it as they come back through the murder hole. No one there to punish. But it's this positioning from Guardian that's going to be deadly, and he finds Stewie.
Yeah, Fallen just crossed that angle and didn't see him, and that was it, really. As soon as Guardian gets set up on that angle, you know that he's going to get one. One is enough. But not for SK Gaming. That's what they're sitting at right now. 13-1. FaZe, they're on the precipice of closing this out 14-1, I'll be honest. It really doesn't feel like SK is going to be able to come back into this half or this map. At least they gave themselves a chance on an overpass, but now they don't even have a chance.
No, this is all over. We've seen SK make some incredible comebacks. I don't know if this is even in the realm of possibility for anyone in the scene at the moment. There's Fur with the kill. Exist has made his way over towards the cubby. He's going to get taken out, so finally SK is able to stop this hit. Nico and Kerrigan still alive, still working, but they need more. It's Nico again in a 1-on-3, and if he wins this, I wouldn't even know what to say. Brought down to 18 HP, and coldzera just finds him right through the smoke. So SK ends it with a positive note, but I don't think they're going to be too happy about it either way.
No, I would agree. 1 or 2 doesn't really make too much of a difference there for SK. The real thing is, for FaZe, if they get this pistol round here, it's basically map over, whether it's 13 or 14, and they've been pretty good at those pistols throughout this matchup so far. They've got all 3 of them. So, SK need to be thinking about what they're going to be doing in this next pistol round.
This was so sick. Well, Nico's just, that was an incredible question.
You can't even believe it himself.
No, I mean, no one really can. He's got to be wondering why no one ever tried to like actually attack him when he was just sitting at the base of that connector. Incredible, incredible stuff from Nico. Incredible stuff from everyone on FaZe. Even outside of that, you can see, I mean, a pretty close scoreline among those top 4 players on FaZe. Even Kerrigan's not too far off, and fair play to him in game leading. And also, I mean, there's just so many kills to go around, isn't there, when your teammates are murdering everything. 13-2, second half starting now, and SK, this would be one for the books.
Certainly would, but there is always a possibility. Counter-Strike is just a game that does allow you to come back into situations like this, but it is a tough slog for SK. So they're going to have to start off with the pistol round, and they've defaulted a fairly passive setup initially. Guardian will take a challenge, but Fur is going to bail Fallen out. Now Carrigan has some work to do. Exist as well with the counter push, and Carrigan has been so good on those pistols. He's good enough at least for 1 here, and that might be enough for FaZe. It brings it to a 3 versus 3. And the positioning now that Rain has got, he's getting so much information. He's going to get around the back and maybe even spot the bomb here if he goes up in T-Apps. Decides, in fact, to have a look into mid, and he'll see another player.
Started running and ran right into an obstacle. coldzera just pushes him back, but it's going to buy some time for FaZe to kind of figure out where they want to position themselves. Bolts in middle is kind of a linchpin for SK that they can pivot around on this map. He's holding Catwalk very well, can help out if they want to take mid control, or coldzera's coming. Question become right now for FaZe is Nico is kind of this X factor. If he can peek out towards Catwalk, at least get the information, find some damage. But they're a little bit worried. So many different angles that SK can attack from. But Rain is slowly getting them boxed in. And that's the bomb on Fallen, and he's the only one in these halls. If he gets that kill, this could be over, and Exist just tapping away. He's found his... Oh, that's beautiful. I think that just ends it right there, because Fallen has to slow down, and this just buys time for Rain, the silent assassin, to come in, and he misses a first couple shots. That's not very assassin-like, but...
Doesn't matter, he's got the job done. Exist cleans it up. That was 4 kills for Exist as well in that pistol round. FaZe are up to 14 now. SK, they absolutely needed that pistol round. And now they're going to be forced to force. Pistol and armor coming out. And this is their last chance. It's do or die now for SK here at Dallas.
Yes, it is. 2-14, FaZe about to book a ticket to the semifinals. This has been an impressive performance from them. I mean, I guess SK with some of their struggles recently, you could say it was always going to be this way, but they've done a very good job of not letting it slip out of their control. Overpass was a bit sketchy at times, but Mirage has been theirs start to finish. Guardian is going to get dropped by Fur. That's in connector. He started to get aggressive. Rain is behind the smoke on A ramp, so some danger for him. But Nico's going to be able to respond, and there goes Rain. The A bomb site is open. It's just Nico to really defend it from far away. No utility for SK to use. They have smoke top connector, but the bomb is dropped in T-spawn, so that's going to allow time for Nico to try and find one more kill, try and find the equalizing frag.
Yeah, and some really low HP players here for him to grab. Gets rid of coldzera, but in the meanwhile, Carrigan has dropped as well, and Exist, he needs to win that duel, which he doesn't. And now again, it's all onto Nico. This time it's a 1v3, not a 1v4. Still doable for him. Let's not count him out, but this is looking like SK, they might at least survive for a little bit longer.
I mean, none of these FaZe guys had any idea where SK could possibly be. You could see the confusion when Exist is peeking in towards the middle. So many kills have just come out in random places across the map due to the 1-Deegs, and it allowed so many gaps in the defense that there's no way for the FaZe defense to read when they rotate. So nicely done from SK. It's just feels like it's just delaying the inevitable, but it at least allows them a chance to get this comeback started. Still very far away from even considering that concept, and Nico's still here challenging for the round. That would have been a nice headshot to have. He does have a kit.
Yeah, if he actually got the kill there straight away, he could have sat on that defuse. Not that he would have necessarily known it. But the more kills that Nico gets here, that means the less guns saved through for SK, which is at least going to be a little bit of a bonus. And sitting on the defuse now, Nico, he's not going to be able to get it done. Bolts is well aware of it. That was the only real possible chance that he had to win that if SK was having a bit of a nap. But SK's on 3 now. Buy through for them. Let's see what FaZe decides to do, if they want to relinquish the pressure up or just force straight into it.
You play safe with the economy if you're FaZe. You're up by so much. You're up by 11 rounds, so just don't do anything that's going to put yourself into some kind of a money pit that you can't really get out of, a spiral that you can't recover from. All you need to do if you're FaZe is get the utility, get the AWP in Guardian's hands, and play a pretty standard game, at least until SK proves they can actually challenge for this map.
Ooh,
or just buy a deagle.
That's not fun if you're SK. Need to find an umbrella. Rain is here on Mirage. A player deficit for SK. It's nothing to get too worried about just yet, but might be something here for FaZe if they can find another frag, although Bolts brings back at least one, and that balances things a little bit. Back to a 4v4. Bolt's doing some good work right now. He's really just keeping SK in this round. Inevitably, he does get spammed through the smoke, but he's brought it back to a 3v2, and SK feeling a bit more comfortable now.
Stewie's there to cut off the rotation. He's opened up the B bomb site. He's found it for free. Rain's here, can't connect with that shot, and Stewie takes him out at the end. 4-14. And I think we're going to see FaZe save one more round for investing. Guardian will be able to have that op. Looks like it'll be another glass cannon, but that's when the real danger begins for SK. Well, I say that, but there's always danger when you're down 4-14.
Yeah. And when there's a few Deagle shots coming out from FaZe, although not in this round. No Desert Eagles invested into. And SK playing the long-range game. Not a bad idea.
These two maps for me have, I mean, even parts of Overpass, I guess they did make it close towards the end, but this has started to look like an SK that's kind of just lost a little bit of confidence. I mean, everyone wants to dive into the deep details of what's going wrong, of how this Stewie acquisition is going to change the way they play, and that's an interesting discussion for sure, but I think most of it is, it's kind of hard to tell because this team just, like, in this map specifically, just seems so scared at certain rounds, certain stretches on Overpass. They seemed a little bit frightened of FaZe and being able to take those fights. You have, you know, Fur, who hasn't had his trademark aggression fallen, as well as kind of dropped off with his trademark hopping. So I think before you kind of dive too deep into those details, you have to get an SK Gaming that at least individually is up to par. And I mean, it's always difficult. It's like the chicken versus, like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is it like the team player, the individual skills that come first? One usually unlocks the other.
Well, it's quite strange, isn't it? Because it really felt like SK was having a bit of a better time here at Dallas than they were at Sydney. But to be fair, there wasn't really much of a chance that they could have a worse time than what they had at Sydney, being knocked out in the first stages of the knockouts. But
to an Aussie team, no less.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
bloody hell.
Yeah, can you believe it? It's truth. Anyway, SK, I mean, I felt like they were at least kind of working their way into Dallas a little bit better now. You know, it felt like they were making things happen, and I thought they were going to challenge FaZe more so like what we saw on map 1 than what we were seeing right now. Admittedly, they got to such a big deficit that it never really felt like they were going to come back.
Yeah. And it's even bigger deficit here. Guns out for both teams. Kerrigan and Guardian with the AWPs. Light armor, no nades for each of them. And SK Gaming going to try and give them a taste of their own medicine. A hit towards this A bomb site is coming in. Where's the timing of it? Nico drops down. Throws the nade. That could catch bolts. Decent damage onto him, but here comes the hit. They're swerving towards Rain. Not able to get anything, and Nico almost fell back towards mid. He can't stop Stewie from pushing towards CT spawn. Guardian's holding that with the AWP. This might be another situation where, even though FaZe is here, they're going to need to kill soon, and Cold Zero actually needs to get that bomb planted. He needs to do it quick before he loses teammates.
Well, he's lost one just now, existing a good shot, and now Guardian bails him out. Look at this, Guardian starting to step up.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. They've taken the bomb site, they've pressured all the choke points, and the bomb's not being planted. A mistake from Cold Zero. And just too much. If you're going to pressure in that way towards CT spawn, you have to actually do it. You need a pop flash to get through so you can turn that corner. If you're just going to sit at the top of it, eventually FaZe is going to be in great position, and SK, it looks like they've let another round slip out of their grasp.
Yeah, it definitely does seem like it's headed that way, but let's not count out chickens before they hatch. Well, maybe they might have just hatched. As Guardian, oh, Carrigan, nice shot as well. But Guardian, that was a great round. 3 kills with the AWP, and 15 up now for FaZe. SK, they are standing on the edge of the cliff.
here we go. One last chance for SK Gaming. AKs are out for 3 members. Fallen back on the CZ and Stewie with the op. And yeah, look, I mean, this is just an interesting round. Everyone just kind of walking right into Guardian's crosshairs, and he's going to love that. That's not the SK that we know. Opening pick for Stewie, the equalizer for Guardian, but Stewie still challenges, and so does FaZe. They're up so much, they just want to fight. They're just going to take every battle that they're given, and SK still with some belief that they can come back into this one, are going to play it smart. Take the man advantage, fall away from mid, circle back where Rain lies in wait.
That's a very quick start to the round. And SK, they have the advantage now, but as I say that, Carrigan is there. Secondary AWP coming to fruition for FaZe. Rain is holding the A bomb site from Sandwich. An important task ahead for him now.
Yeah, FaZe has the wrong read. This is going to be so difficult. Rain, they're going to come out of Palace here. Fur or Fallen could choose to, I imagine it would be Fur, could choose to just keep them locked in. They're not making a single noise. Bolts can even come over top if he chooses to, so this is going to be tough. It's all down to timing. Guardian very committed to the B bomb site. Carrigan on catwalk. Now they're going to be called over. The Molotov gives it away. Rain, how does he manage his attention? He's looking up. There's Fallen dropping down. There's the kill. The response from Bolts overhead. And Guardian rotating to CT spawn. Carrigan's going to try and stop things. I don't know if they can get this plant down. Both ops are going to have them locked in. Going to deny both plant spots. Guardian comes around the angle, finds Fur, and it's all on Bolts. 30 seconds left, and Carrigan won't let him cross either. 16-5. FaZe are going to make it to the ESL Pro League semifinals.
And that secures us the IEM Sydney rematch as well. A tantalizing prospect here as FaZe knock out SK Gaming. A 2-0, and they're looking good. Going up against Astralis in their next match. That, though, is going to be a tough ask.
It will be, but for now, FaZe get to celebrate before looking ahead. That was probably much easier than a lot of these guys believed it was going to be. SK still with some questions to answer, still with some things to figure out, obviously, within this team. Not the SK that we know and love today, but I think they all kind of understand the task that they were up against with how well FaZe has played in this event.
Yeah, definitely. But how much further can FaZe go? That's the real question. We sort of all counted them out of IEM Sydney. Have we counted them out here of Dallas going up against Astralis so soon? I'm not so sure. It's still quite an interesting question.
The reason we counted them out of Sydney was because the individual players didn't seem to quite be there for FaZe throughout the majority of that event. You've got, Guardian at times, was a little quiet, but looked on point for the most part. Nico, obviously, phenomenal. Rain played very, very well. Kerrigan stepped up when needed. Exist is solid. So, I mean, this is a FaZe team. If we doubted them at Sydney for not having individuals, I think we got to put some faith in them here when everyone is showing up. And if you're Astralis, you got to be a little bit worried. This is a much stronger looking FaZe.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's going to be all from us here at the Caster's Desk. Time to head over to an interview on the stage.
All right, I'm joined by Kerrigan. Guys, give it up for FaZe. Strong, showing dominating performance here. Now, here's the thing. Many people know I'm not too well versed in CS, but I always hear this thing about the curse. Like you just can't seem to beat SK and Fallen in a best of 3, but yet here we are in Dallas, Texas, and you made it happen. How does it feel?
It feels good, obviously. It's been a long time coming, I think, both in Astralis, with the old FaZe line, with this FaZe lineup, and with Olof. We had issues with them. They're a great team, and I think they're about to rebuild their team, and this is the right time we wanted since the Major to play them, because it felt like when we played them in the Epicenter, we were not playing ourselves, and the same in Pro League. So I'm happy finally we did it.
Yeah, now you guys move on to the semifinals here, and you're going to go up against Astralis. This is a team, though, that you have beaten in the past in IEM Sydney just a little while ago. So do you think that history is going to repeat itself again, and you're going to be marching your way over to the grand final?
Everybody knows Astralis is playing the best CS right now. So we're coming to the match against underdogs, I think. So we're going to play the underdog role against the best team in the world right now and show that we're the team that can beat them time and time again. It's going to be a hard match, for sure. It's like a lot of overtime. Every map was 30 rounds in Sydney, and they're here to beat us. I'm pretty sure about that. So it's going to be a fantastic match tomorrow.
Well, I'm sure that we're all looking forward to it. Kerrigan, thank you so much for your time, my man. Appreciate it. Give it up for Kerrigan and the boys in FaZe Clan. Let's now send it over to Machine to break it all down with the boys at the desk.
Thank you so much, Alex. Yes, and Carrigan, a big thank you to him because he's taken the words right out of my mouth. That game tomorrow is going to be awesome. A rematch of the grand final. Astralis feel robbed. FaZe have a chance to truly start becoming the nemesis of what is poised to be the very best team in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. They can be that thorn in their sides in the same way, perhaps, that SK have been, or rather Fallen has been for Karrigan in oh so many times. Yes, the curse is lifted, albeit with a slight caveat, slight asterisk. It wasn't SK in full force.
It's enough, though, and it's enough to change that mental edge, I think, for Karrigan, you know, to have that relief of, hey, we've finally been able to beat them in this kind of fashion. It's fantastic. And it was, Mirage was clinical. 16-5, Alex. What an absolute battering.
Honestly, that was, you rarely see SK Gaming, you know, SK FaZe. You know, if you look at all the SK FaZe games we've got to see in and treat ourselves to, this is one that you kind of blink and you miss it. I feel like I only just got to the green room. We ended up heading back out here, Jacob.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty at all. I mean, when you look towards the game and what happened, really, I feel it's a direct consequence of SK trying a lot of new stuff.
Yeah.
You removed coldzera from playing Catwalk, probably one of the best players playing that position. Now he's playing in the A anchor. Then you take Fer out of connection, putting him on Catwalk, you know, taking one of the best players in connection out of connection. And then you take Stewie 2K, who used to be the A anchor for Cloud9, and put him on Catwalk. It makes you think it doesn't really make sense. So fair enough for trying out some new stuff and giving it a go. But this game is just a showcase of either SK needs more time or they need to revert back and do something else.
Yeah, look, I don't want to come into this and, you know, give SK just I guess
excuses.
I don't want to let them off the hook by any means, but the fact of the matter is this is a massive change. And look, this Stewie roster change could either be the best or the worst, or maybe even both roster change of all of 2018. And I mean that in the sense of, in the short term, it could potentially be the worst, and does seem right now like a team that we expect to be top 3 isn't living up to that expectation. But with time, and I hate saying that, it may open doors for maybe one more roster change within the SK camp that could bring in someone to, you know, be with Stewie, and it could change the face of this team going forward. Because like Fallen said in that interview, it's a new SK, a new legacy going forward.
Well, I think that, you know, they are no strangers to strife. They are no strangers to hard work and the rewards that they can bear. We do have an opportunity. Actually, standing by backstage is Stewie 2K, of course, a new addition, and there is a question of how much time do SK need. Let's see if Stunner can get some answers.
Stewie, you know, this is always going to be an interesting interview to have to do in the first place, but obviously you guys played your hearts out there. Let's run it back. You had a phenomenal series. You picked up the AWP. You really put down the law here, but ultimately what happened? Let's start with Overpass.
I think it all started with the pistol round. I was the first one to make the mistake. I gave Karrigan the first kill when I shouldn't have. And then Cold made the next one, and they all started from there. And it's bad to start that way, but we kept composed. Even when we were down 7-0, we had a good T side despite the pistol round. And on CT side, we lose another pistol round, which is hard. And then we were just praying that the ops would save us. And we brought it back, and unfortunately, Nico is a guy with the deagle, so.
You can't refute that. That is very much the truth. The guy is insane with the deagle. Now, on the other side of that, one thing I could say about this SK Gaming lineup is Fallen has been known to be a problem solver. This guy is known to take it and sort of turn the momentum in the favor of SK. What do you think is keeping you guys from that at this moment?
We're going through dark times right now. We can't even find the synergy ourselves, but we found some here, and hopefully we can just find our pathing here, and hopefully just find the right answers to our problems and just solve it and become the team that we all know.
The team we all know. How about on Mirage? It wasn't a pretty sight. Again, playing your hearts out, playing lights out, but ultimately it wasn't coming together like you wanted to, and at one point it was very much a landslide. Talk to me about what happened on Mirage, man.
I think even though our economy got broken, we lost pistol, it was okay, but losing the round to Nico was a big one for us. I think that hit us mentally, and it was hard for us to come back, and we all just started trying to make plays. We tried to be active on CT side, but it was not going our way, and they're a good Mirage team, so they're a top team in the world, and in order to beat these guys, we got to be on point, we got to have good structure, be on the same page, and we weren't there today.
So, Stewie, last one I got for you, I'm going to let you go. Where does SK Gaming go from here? What do you guys do to try to bring it all together and find that synergy, find that sort of work that you're talking about?
We get a lot of backlash lately, but we're not going to be paying attention to all that. We're just going to keep looking up from here. We have a lot of tournaments coming up. Hopefully we can get some practice time going and just hopefully show a new face next tournament.
New face next tournament. Well, only time will tell. Thanks, Stewie 2K. Again, you know, tough loss, and it happens. So keep your head up. And with that, Alex, let's go ahead and break this bad boy down a little further.
Thank you so much. Yes, very kind of Stewie to give us a couple of extra insights into this game, and I couldn't agree more. Not only with how great he looked on Overpass with that AWP, of course, strange to see him in bathrooms with an AWP, with an SK tag and an SK CT side. Fallen so proficient with it, but he did a sterling job. FaZe just a little too strong, and I'm hearing a recurring trend here, guys. Nico on overpass with that deagle. Nico with that 1v4 on Mirage. It does seem like one player did seem to break SK, not necessarily the entire game, but certainly mentally.
Yeah, probably the heartbreak rounds. I guess that's what we can label them, right? The Carrigan winning the pistol round on overpass, and then Nico with the 1v4 on Mirage. Those two scenarios right there are enough to really just make you wonder what's going on. And Stewie's, he said that they started to make plays. Well, that's what happens when you can't play as a team. You start to put all that weight on your own shoulders and try and get it done individually. And you can't really do that against a team like FaZe.
Jacob, let's take a look at that Nico's clutch once again. I want you to tell us, were SK making mistakes, or was Nico just being Nico?
It's when you do a 1-on-4 clutch like this one, as you see on the screen right now, it's a bit of both, I'd say. You can never avoid, keeping some small mistakes away from that one. It's just Nico playing his odds perfectly. He's doing everything right in that scenario, and he's capitalizing off the, I wouldn't even say mistakes, but the minor misplays from the SK guys in that scenario. So it's just heads down, one of the best clutches I've ever seen.
That was ridiculous. 1v4, some of the best players in the world. They all know exactly where you are. You're in the middle of the map. You have a 180-degree turn if you would like to duel both of them, both pushing at you. It should be unwinnable.
That's a communication issue, surely, right? The fact of the matter is they should have closed him down together and killed him. Pressure from Cat and Connector, he would have had nowhere to go. Even if he subsided back in middle, it should have given enough time to get the defuse in. So it just, maybe that was a communication issue. Maybe they were scared. I'm not sure, but it didn't look good.
Yeah, I think I love Moses' words. It was perfect. Just, I've never seen SK Gaming play around so scared. They were scared of Nico, and that's not something that we're used to seeing from SK. We can bring up the results from today, though, so we can go ahead and completely understand and comprehend exactly how things went down. It's quick 2-0s all round. Liquid did make the North American crowd loud, and they are going to be picking themselves up against Na'Vi tomorrow in the semi-finals. And that game, FaZe SK. Look at that. I'm just excited about that semi-final. Don't know about you, Chad. That second one.
Yeah, look, that's going to be an absolute banger of a match. If you can't remember 2 weeks ago, IEM Sydney Grand Final of best of 5 that was 1-3 by FaZe Clan, catching everybody off guard. And the thing is, that match was so back and forth with so many rounds of intense Counter-Strike that if we even get a little bit of that tomorrow, I'm going to be happy.
I know what makes me happy is the fact that both of these games are coming up tomorrow. Those are your times. You do not want to miss these. There's so many things that we're going to learn from those games. Na'Vi, Liquid, Jacob, you've got so many questions about whether or not Na'Vi's run in Marseille was, somewhat of a fluke. Team Liquid, you've got a lot of questions you want answered. It's just so goddamn exciting, and I should stop talking. We should go ahead and wrap this one up. One final reminder of one of the servers that these are played on. There we go, I found it. It is ESEA. They're all played on ESEA servers. That's easy. You can go to play.esea.net to play on your very own. And if you're interested in seeing what the MDL is all about, that's the league beneath the Pro League that gets you here. It's all a very long ladder. You can find all that information nice and easy at play.eseagaming.net. Cool, we'll leave it there. Anyway, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's very weird being in a completely empty stadium and hearing your own voice, and I will see you tomorrow to do it all over again. That's right, we're going to be partying with all of you guys again. The semi-finals coming up tomorrow for the Pro League.
Carry out.
Did I seriously get that dude in smoke?
Yo. Oh my.
Game, record, and stream without compromise. An Intel Core i7.
Wait, nice skills, but you gotta pump up that look. Let's game flip it.
What? Game flip?
Yeah, Game Flip. Proudly endorsed by SK Gaming. Game Flip is the marketplace where 3 million gamers buy and sell items from thousands of games, including CSGO.
Much better. Looking good.
Join our ESL Pro League giveaway.
Be a boss. Buy and sell on Game Flip.
See? Red Bull gives you wings.